All right, and we are live. Hello, and welcome to episode 39 of Gaming Perspective Podcast. I am your host, Nicholas Downey from lordsofgaming.net, and we've got a absolute packed panel plus a special guest tonight, so it's going to be a very exciting night. So we will get right into it. We will start with the gentleman and writer from Windows Central, Android Central, and iMore, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey, it is good to be here. I've kind of been head down this work week, just focusing on my writing and all. But it's good to relax and unwind and talk crap with and at all the rest of you guys. Not you, Dan. I love you. You're good.
That's fair. I'll take it, man. I will take it.
Understandably. Yeah. And also introducing from Android Central, Windows Central, and iMore, the guide guru himself, Mr. Jared Eden.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in, as always. And I got some interesting things to talk about this week, and a special, very, very special guest to have on again. But let's get to it. Let's get talking. Oh, hell yeah, buddy.
And absolutely. And joining us from the watery lands of Florida, Mr. Eric Jackson.
Hey, what's going on, guys? We're actually drying out, and seeing some of the aftermath. But, man. Yeah, finally getting the house back in order, getting things cleaned up, trying to get ready for the holiday as best, in this pandemic world. It's not going to be any big family things or anything like that. Yeah, it's going to be pretty low key, but yeah, a lot of cleans. I'm pretty tired, but I didn't want to miss another week, man. Definitely missed you guys. And, I figured anybody can keep my mind off of nonsense will be you guys, so.
With more nonsense. Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And, I'm kind of excited for Christmas in a pandemic world because it's one more excuse not to deal with my in-laws. But I'm bummed.
I don't know how you got out of that one. I'm stuck, man. Damn.
My wife's looking at me like you're not getting out of it. So it doesn't matter. And also joining us from, of course, the Season Gaming and the Bitcast, of course, and the number one biggest Anthem fan besides Insipid Ghost, yes. Mr. Dan Rodriguez.
Yeah, man, I'm super pumped to be here. Did you see old Luke? He got on, what was the Kind of Funny X-Cast? What the hell?
Good for him.
Good for
Luke.
That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. I'm ready to talk some games. I'm ready to talk you guys down from the Valhalla ledge, so we can come back to reality a little bit.
Oh, okay. This is how it's going to be.
Yep. There's a 7 in my name for a reason.
That's Yete.
Oh, it's going to be a good episode.
Yeah.
So speaking of 7, we got a really off-the-wall announcement this week. So IO Interactive tweeted out earlier this week that they were announcing their new game. And as a general rule of thumb, nobody gave a shit. I was excited. I didn't see a lot of people on the timeline talking about, which was expected. IO Interactive with their Hitman games and Kane and Lynch, two very great IPs. They're very underappreciated. And then the next day they were like, hey, yeah, so IO Interactive is doing a 007 project, which blows my mind that they were under Square Enix, then they were under Warner Brothers, and now they're independent, and they get their hands on probably one of the most coveted IPs or film IPs ever, and it's under no affiliation to anyone else. They are self-publishing and managing this one independently. So this is... Can I call this an indie James Bond game? Because that's technically what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But so what do you guys think? IO Interactive and James Bond. We didn't see anything. It's probably a long ways away, but general thoughts on IO Interactive tackling James Bond. I will go last.
I mean, I'll go first then in that case. Yeah, this is a dream scenario. This is like up there, if not exceeding like Larian tackling Baldur's Gate 3. This is just one of those match made in heaven. Oh, yeah, they'd be perfect for that, but they'll never actually do it. We haven't had a good James Bond game in forever, but with what IO can do with Hitman, like the gadgets, the social stealth, the infiltration, I trust them. I don't need to see much of this game. Although I do want to see something. I want to see gameplay. I want to see what kind of gameplay mechanics and ideas they bring to it, but I trust that they're going to have something cool.
Yeah. Eric?
Yeah, man. I'm always down for a good James Bond game. Like Sam said, we haven't had one in forever, and I mean, I'm going back to I'm going to pull out the nostalgia and say, hey, man, GoldenEye.
That's it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Just thinking of, hours upon hours upon hours, playing multiplayer and that with my cousins, just coming up with the craziest scenarios. And like Sam said, like it's the pairing of that with IO and their pedigree. I'm excited to see what they do with that. I mean, there's so many possibilities, directions that they may want to go with it. Like, can you imagine if you get to create your Bond?
Oh yeah. Well, they've said it's an origin story. That is
that's right. That's true. That is true.
They did say this is going to be like him earning the 00.
Right.
So
that is, but yeah. So even with that, they could still play with something like that. It would be, like pretty phenomenal. And yeah, Nick, it's absolutely true, man. Like, not a lot of people. I saw the correct people being hyped about it, but not many people talked about it because, of course, no one in the bubble talks about anything unless, it means 4K or unless it means, talking about, the most ridiculous parts of it, and what it means for the console war.
Mm-hmm.
But real ones know, and the real ones got excited, and that's all you can ask for,
Yep. Jared, what about you? 00 fan, maybe? Not
Absolutely.
Really?
No, I grew up playing GoldenEye. I love the hell out of the game. I have 3 brothers, okay? I'm the 3rd youngest in my family. We had a ton of games like GoldenEye and others to keep us going playing against each other all the time. So it was always competitive in our household. But I'm excited as hell for it. My only thought is, okay, I know Hitman is very much third-person shooter and whatnot, but IO has been very good about support for like VR support. And they have an option for first person too, don't they? For Hitman or something? I don't know. I probably not
in VR. The
VR
mode, the VR mode for Hitman 3 is going to support a first person mode.
See, that would be pretty awesome. So, is probably going to be third person perspective, but I kind of would like to see them try first person this time around. And just to kind of see how it is, but maybe give the option of having both camera viewpoints if you want. But I'm excited as hell. It's gonna be great. I think it's a perfect studio to do this title.
Yeah, I mean, just like what you guys said, it's a match made in heaven, man. IOI. I mean, it's I can't even think of a better one to do. As long as they don't just like reskin like a Hitman game.
Yeah,
then that's what you don't want. But they've got all the gadgets and the spy stuff and all that kind of stuff. They're very familiar with that kind of stuff already. So I can see them doing it like Hitman, where you can make it episodic and kind of add as you go on. They're really, really good at that, because the Hitman 2 stuff, I mean, it was fantastic just to bring that stuff back. You can pop in and there was a new mission, a new person to assassinate. They really did a good job supporting that game. Hitman 1 as well. So it's one of my, I think most underappreciated IPs of, ever, really. It's so good. And the last 2 have been fantastic. I just want to see, if they lean, if maybe they'll go a little bit more, because Hitman's not much on story. So sure. I'm interested to see how they handle that, in the long run. But this is super awesome. I mean, I love 007, man. I've been on it since, Connery and, Roger Moore back in the day. It's the best.
Yeah, and I just want to build on something Dan said really quickly. Like, the very fact that Hitman has worked so well episodically is like, that works perfectly for 007. That's like, Mr. Bond, we're sending you out to Maui. Or like, okay, we're sending you out to Alaska. Like, you can just have, how do I put this? I want to say this carefully. You can have a full game at launch or whatever, but like, you can do a lot of post-launch support, almost games as a service, but it's not a bad term here, like in a very good way. You can realistically just expand and add on missions and stuff. I mean, you
can have like different Bond girls every week too, man, that you romance.
There you go. I wasn't going to say it, but there you go.
Exactly. By the time this movie comes out, you're going to have Bond boys too. Yeah. Or men, Bond men.
Whatever.
Oh, boy, backpedal.
Thank you, Nick.
Not sure what I'm doing here right now. So
I am now on 3 watch lists. But no, IO Interactive is definitely a perfect fit for it. Their pedigree in terms of third-person stealth action is very, very good. Their gadget use is obviously impeccable. Their care and love that they've shown for the Hitman IP and what they're willing to do in order to keep that going is awesome. And I'm really glad to see them branch out from it. Like, I love Hitman. I wish they could keep making them until the day I die, but realistically, that's not going to work. So it's really exciting to see them do something like this. And I think people should be really excited because there's things I find really disappointing about Hitman Absolution, where it was more action focused and focused on like point shooting and executions and stuff like that, which made it a really poor Hitman game. But if you skinned that with 007, it would have made an awesome 007 game. So I'm really excited to see what they do with that. I'm excited to see what they do with Bond, like, because we're in limbo for the Bond. Like, you know, when we had a film Bond, it would be like, okay, so this is probably going to be a tie-in. But right now, that's in limbo. So what are they going to use? Like, can I get Idris Elba? Like, please, can I get Idris Elba James Bond or make my own Bond? I want my awkward Canadian ass being 007. That'd be great. 007 with a beard and he drinks malt liquor. I love it. Let me be that James Bond.
Hell yeah, man.
It's also really funny because last week I tweeted, I was like, hey, wouldn't it be crazy if Naughty Dog did a 007 game? And I only got half of it right, but still.
At least you got something.
Insider. I was just hinting. I was leaving cheese trails. So... That legitimizes me, I swear. So Cyberpunk 2077 got another trailer because, god damn it, I'm going to have to see this game 82 more times before it comes out. This game just looks awesome. Just let me do things and punch people with my best friend Keanu Reeves and or maybe my best enemy Keanu Reeves, because it doesn't really seem like he's a morally straightforward character, which is kind of exciting. But I don't even know how to direct the Cyberpunk trailer conversation because I can't even be like with most games. I'm like, so are you guys going to get Cyberpunk at launch?
Yeah. Yep.
Obviously. Yeah. Definitely.
So let me rephrase this. Let me ask a better question. Should they shut up now about it?
Yeah,
like,
they should have shut up a while ago, man. Like after they delayed it to the last time, they should have just been like, just listen. I blocked them on Twitter. I'm not even joking. I blocked the official account because I was tired of the stupid delays. I was tired of seeing stuff. I want that game. My expectations for that game are so high. It might like Anthem high, maybe higher than Anthem. That's how high my expectations are. I didn't want to know anything else. And it was funny this morning because Ains had it on the Big Cats, outline. I was like, shit, I got to go back and so I had to watch some of it, and so I kind of skimmed it. I'm ready for it. I just want it. As long as it doesn't get another delay, give it to me. Give it to me. I got enough to last me to right around then, and then it's time. Christmas is just going to be, I don't even want to talk to people. So
pretty much. Seems like same boat. Like, well, okay, I'm not the same boat where they should stop showing it, but like I'm excited. I just want it in my hands. I'm ready to go. Next gen's here. Give us the game already. We've been teased enough for so long. Just hurry up. I'm just the anticipation to actually play the game is insane because they released the trailer for the Xbox, gameplay and whatnot, but they also released gameplay for showing off the ray tracing as well. And it's just like, man, I can't wait to see this game in its full glory with ray tracing and everything and whatnot, and just give it to me, man. We're dying here.
So as somebody who I barely watched I didn't watch like the gameplay. I tried to, and I was watching a Twitch stream, which was garbage, so I couldn't really tell what was going on.
Yeah.
And now the version that's coming out is going to be the last gen version. What is getting improved out of the box? I know that the patch is coming probably next year sometime. Did it look good? Because I was afraid to watch it.
Yes. No. Honestly. So honestly, compared to earlier this year to where it looks now, it looks drastically better.
Awesome.
Shooting looks smoother. If I can just interject really quick.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead,
shooting looks a lot smoother. Like there used to be like a little bit of a jank or even like a frame rate drop when aiming down sights. And from what they showed, that's mostly gone. It looks like the combat's a lot better.
Good news, man. Good news.
Sorry, Jared, if there was something else you wanted to point out from the comparison.
Oh, man, it's beautiful as hell. Like we all saw everybody gawking over the ray tracing in Legions, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much gonna be the same thing with Cyberpunk. It's very city, lots of neon lights, lots of reflections, metal surfaces, reflective surfaces, and yeah, it's gonna be eye candy for people.
So that's day one, the 10th of December or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it? Is it like a 60 FPS, 1080?
I'm not sure.
I don't think they.
But
Yeah. They haven't said anything. I'm presuming that the current gen versions are going to be locked to 30 because they're probably lucky they're getting 30 with everything they're cramming into this. It wouldn't surprise me if they not a full patch, but they include uncap the frame rate option on PS5 and Xbox Series X. That would make sense if they do something like that.
But
they haven't. Let VRR smooth it out, but they haven't actually said it. So
gotcha.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Taco sauce.
Man, I might even make it past to, I think, not even 70 to 80 FPS on my computer at 1440p, let alone 4K. So my computer is right alongside power-wise for what it can capably do for 4K 60, right on the next-gen consoles.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Dan. I haven't looked at anything else. I haven't wanted to see anything else for a long time. I haven't watched any of the Night City stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really. Anytime something hits the Twitterverse and everyone starts picking things apart, I just kind of ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of want the whole fresh experience, even to the point where I'm not touching it until the next gen patch.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I'll be kind of going on something of a blackout, kind of again avoiding what people are saying about it when it comes out. Because I kind of want it at the full vision.
Yeah.
And nothing hindering it. I don't want any, I don't have my next gen consoles yet, but so I figure by the time, I get around to getting those, hopefully that patch will be somewhere near.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely looking forward to the game. But yeah, I don't want anything hindering it. And even if, I had the new console, set up already, I'd still be waiting because, it's sort of like that thing where it's the capability, what's it really supposed to be? If I already have a machine that's capable of running that, I don't want it to play the version that's,
less capable. I got you. My real question is compared from what it looks like now, it looks really good and it looks visually impressive. How much more impressive is this next gen patch going to be in comparison to what it is now? What are they going to be bringing to the table in this next gen patch that isn't already there currently? That's my big question.
I think it depends on what's lacking. If the frame rate's a little choppy, I think the next generation patch will focus on performance. Or if they go for a solid frame rate, I think they'll definitely try to enhance visuals with the next generation patch. I think it depends on where the game's at in terms of what they want it to be, which will be what the next generation patch focuses on. Because that seems to be the general consensus of what we've seen with other games that have gotten next generation patches so far. Is either if they're having issues with the performance, they lock down the performance. If they have great performance already, they're focusing on, how much can we scale the visuals before we have to start knocking the frame rate down? And that kind of seems to be the balance that everyone's playing with. Way more complicated than that, but that's the dummied down version that I can understand and explain.
No, absolutely. That makes sense. And then my only other question on top of that is it going to be, PC, of course, is its own kind of thing. You got all that power and whatnot. Is it going to be only a console specific kind of next gen patch, or is it going to be overall just for all platforms in general? That's another big question, because I know PC can do more things that's capable in certain areas than consoles can potentially. Don't know really for sure with next gen consoles, but yeah, I still things I'm very curious about.
Yeah, that PC spec list that came out kind of gave us an idea of what to expect in terms for the PC end of things, but
it's beefy. You need some,
beefy.
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 We only bring the beef on this podcast.
That's why I'm here, baby.
AAA Alberta grade beef, buddy.
Oh no. Oh no. Speaking of Dan's favorite game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
The Val.
While me and Eric continue to scream in the background, we like the 30-hour games. It turns out we're apparently freaking wrong compared to the general playing audience. So Valhalla managed to take the #1 spot in the UK box sales charts in its launch week, beating out Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This marks the first time that Call of Duty hasn't been #1 in its debut week in 13 years. It's also worth noting that Assassin's Creed Valhalla was well received by critics, and Bugs Bunny people, who praised the game's pacing, design, and combat improvements over its predecessors. So, yeah, it's Ubisoft's best-selling Ubisoft PC launch, and yeah, it's huge. It was something along the lines of, what was it? Hold on, I'm trying to find the quote so I don't misquote it. It was something like 2 times more players than the Odyssey at launch week or something.
Yep, and it's outsold. They haven't given a number. They've said it outsold Assassin's Creed 3's launch week. And for context, Assassin's Creed 3 sold 3.5 million copies its first week. So it's over 3.5 million copies sold.
Yeah, that was
as of a week ago.
Windows.
Yeah.
All right.
It was one of those people.
Garrett, you want to take this one? You want
Yeah, my Valhalla boy.
Before you jump in, that's interesting that you said that, Sam, because it's funny because when we got to my point, I was going to kind of say, Valhalla is an interesting game because it seems polarizing. Like, it seems like you love it, people are really into it, and I've seen people just aren't really feeling it at all. And I think it was almost the same way for Assassin's Creed 3. Like,
true.
True. Another polarizing entry in Assassin's Creed. But take it away, Jared.
Well, I do have to say, I do kind of have to sort of lean with Dan a little bit here, and that is in the 7 range, but in the high 7 range in my mind, sir. By the way, it's not like that. Just
that's fair.
But my biggest frustration right now is Assassin's Creed is still Assassin's Creed. It's still been the same as it has been since the first game and the second game and the third game and the fourth game. It hasn't really fucking changed. It hasn't at all. There's still the same quirks. There's still the same climbing issues. There's still the same bugs and glitches and stuff we've been dealing with over all these years. I'm a little tired of dealing with them every single game. And not just that, but they need to do still a little bit better on their side stories and whatnot. I mean, this time around, I think they really focused a lot more in making things very worthwhile for your exploration, your side activities, mysteries. There's benefits to actually going out and doing things now and actually taking time away from your main missions and whatnot to actually go do certain things, because you need to get your skill points. You need to level up to a pretty high level. Doing those other little side things, it's going to help you boost up quickly, very, very, very quickly. They made some good gameplay decisions this time around, some good story decisions, but overall, I really am just so sick and tired of them still using the same engine, and it doesn't feel like it's properly progressing. Visually, cool, sure. Gameplay-wise, maybe, absolutely. But if it's going to be like this for the next 10 years into next generation, I'm going to be quite disappointed. I need to see something a little bit more now that we have Valhalla out in the wild. It's good, but I was wanting a little bit more. It's basically just a good Viking story for Assassin's Creed, and it's not the next gen Assassin's Creed that I feel Ubisoft should have probably put out. But that's just me. I don't like their engine. I think that's their biggest holdback right now, is using that Anvil engine. They need to move away from that, because I know we've all played Ghost of Tsushima that has very similar gameplay. You can obviously recreate very similar gameplay in another game like Assassin's Creed and still pull off something visually better and actually has smooth gameplay and really good climbing. And it's not so glitchy or buggy. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, they need to move away from this engine. I like Valhalla; it's a great game, but at the same point, there's still things that's holding them back from it being greater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting because sorry if I came in quick, Nick, because I remember like I've been a long time Assassin's Creed fan from like day one, and the reboots, I should say, like I didn't really jump into them because I had like Assassin's Creed fatigue. Like I was kind of done.
Yeah.
The Kid was like the last one I kind of jumped back on. I completely ignored Unity, but yeah, it's always been like that thing. Like it's never been perfect. It's always been like wonky and buggy. And I know they went away for a while, which I thought was fantastic. To retool combat and to like freshen things up and come back. And they kind of came back with the popular thing to do, and that sort of Destiny swag steel, I guess. And had these like weapon systems and all this other stuff, right? But yeah, it's interesting because they just can't get away from that, it seems. And I don't know why. And even going away and coming back, it seems like a lot of that stuff is still prevalent.
Absolutely is. Yeah.
Well, and here's the biggest problem. It's not going to change because they're finding more and more success with what they're doing.
I know.
Because the thing is Valhalla is way more successful than Odyssey, and Odyssey was one of the biggest Assassin's Creed games long term. So it's like I made the joke at the beginning. Me and Eric can whine and cry and beg to get the OG style Assassin's Creed games back, but it's just not going to happen because they found a different audience that's okay with the game the way it is. And like, that's fine. But like, I had an impulse when I bought my Series X to buy Valhalla. I had a big impulse, but then I went, why? I did about 10 hours in Odyssey before I went, I hit the fucking title screen. And I was like, no, I can't do this amount of time in a game without it being like, if I'm going to dump 100 hours into a game, I'll go play The Witcher 3 because everything about it is amazing front to back. It's detailed. It's hand and foot. The same reason I like the Baldur's Gate games. You have to make the side content as interesting as the main stuff. And that's why Yakuza is such a great game, is because the side content is just as much. I spent 3 hours go-karting in Yakuza Like a Dragon. 3 fucking hours go-karting in a game that has nothing to do with driving because it was a freaking fun experience, and it had more tracks than Mario Kart 8, which is like... But that's a whole different conversation. But these Assassin's Creed games don't speak to me anymore because it's ridiculous to me that I could beat Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, and probably get halfway through one of the other ones in the time to beat 1. The series just doesn't respect your time anymore. And the addition of the RPG element and levels just pisses me off because there's nothing that pisses me off in a game more than when I see a dude who's wearing like a tunic and a small sword, and I hit him with my sword, and it does 2 health because they're like, oh, see, he's level 30 and you're level 27. And I'm like, fuck you, I hit him with a sword. He's dead.
Okay. It's way better in Valhalla this time around. Just saying, way better than that.
I was going to say, I haven't run into that in Valhalla. I haven't. Generally speaking, when I've swung an axe, a head goes flying.
It's actually pretty nice, honestly. Especially when they have like a wooden shields, and with those heavy weapons, you hit them a few times, the shield breaks, and you just like...
Yeah, full disclosure, I did not play Odyssey. I read because I'm one of those weirdos who actually wants the modern day story in Assassin's Creed to be interesting. So I did read the summary of what happened. I read the plot and all that, but I didn't play Odyssey. But from what people have told me about Odyssey, Valhalla seems a lot more grounded. I'm kind of going to be the odd man out, I guess, because I'm loving Valhalla. I love the way it looks. I love the setting. I love how fresh it feels. I love actually having a hidden blade again.
Yes.
I love so much of it. But I will agree with one thing, and that is, you're right, Nick. When it took me 8 hours to hit the title screen for Assassin's Creed Valhalla to come up, I was like, oh, Okay, this is going to be another long one.
I don't know
Like-
how many of you guys played Assassin's Creed 3 then, because that was.
I mean,
man.
okay, to be fair, Assassin's Creed 3 was also egregious, Eric. Assassin's Creed 3
It
was
so
pretty
bad.
darn
Man,
egregious.
it was like, oh my, what? That
Man,
whole
yeah,
3
yeah,
hours?
that-
It was like more than 3 hours.
It was a
like-
good twist, but the problem is it kept on going. Is the
Yeah,
way I
like-
put it. Like it was a good twist, but it didn't need to go on that long. Anyways, so my point is, like, I like Valhalla. I think Valhalla's success is well deserved because I think they've made a lot of good changes. But I do agree, this whole you're 50 hours in with no end in sight thing, like, I can't keep doing that. I can't. Like, I'm doing it for Valhalla because I didn't play Odyssey. So I'm not quite as burnt out as a lot of other people are. So I'm willing to dive in. I'm willing to chip away at it and go through it. And also, it really helps that I said this back when the game leaked, and I'll say it again. I'm a sucker for Vikings and like Nordic, Dark Age, English settings. I love that whole thing. I'll eat it alive. So I'm okay with that. But like moving forward, my suggestion has actually been Ubisoft needs to rotate. They need to do a big RPG, wait 2 years, then do a small game. 2 years, do a big RPG. They have the resources to do both. They have the resources to appeal to everybody here. You can't tell me with how many teams they have that they can't do like a big game, but also, hey, here's a little 15, 20-hour Assassin's Creed 2 style adventure set off, somewhere. Like, they could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We just got Watch Dogs Legion. We got Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And we got Immortals Phoenix Rising coming up.
Yeah.
In a few days here.
It's
That's
insane,
3 games by Ubisoft. 3 big games by Ubisoft.
And keep in mind, if it hadn't been delayed, Far Cry 6 would have been in February. It got delayed, but that would have been in February if it hadn't. So
that's 4.
Here's the thing with Valhalla, and I wrote about this in the review. It's a lot of steps sideways instead of forward, and that's the biggest issue I really have with it. Aside from the ginormous length, I think I'm like 95 hours into it right now, and I am literally. I think I'm at the end. I don't know. I could be. I could not be. All right. They're all the issues that you guys talked about. It just doesn't seem like they're doing much of anything. And as far as the sales goes, I think a little bit of that is probably contributed that it's a launch game for a next generation console. So you're going to get a little bit of inflated numbers. I don't know how much, because Assassin's Creed it's going to sell, and the Viking thing seems to be a very popular, setting, and I'm really, there were times in that game where I'm just like, man, this game really kind of nailed some of these things. But for the most part, it was just like, okay, I'm basically playing Odyssey again, but in England, and the story is the exact same thing, I think. And the farther I get into it, I'm just like, man, I swear I played this game before. And, and they changed, like, it made it so, like, the whole skill tree thing, it was just so arbitrary. Like, the changes that they made, it still doesn't make sense to me completely, because, I like the way, if you want to build something and you want to make a good build, you're pretty much stuck, guessing, number one, where you're going to go, because they don't show all the stat or the places. You can look it up online, I guess. But so I didn't really know what I was doing when I was building my character. Luckily, they did put in a thing in where you can come back and change it all anytime you want to. But for the most part, man, I just feel like I'm playing the same game. There are bugs, and there's quite a few of them that I've run into, but that really wasn't even an issue, because I kind of expected at this point. Ubisoft just Ubisofts themselves every single time, and another issue is when you have a game like Ghost of Tsushima that comes out, and they did Assassin's Creed better than Assassin's Creed does it. They actually showed, oh, hey, you could make a game that doesn't have to be 80, 90 hours long. It might be half of that, but you can actually put stuff in that's actually meaningful, that actually ties into a main story. Hey, I just did a side quest, that later on turns out, well, now this guy's helping me do whatever. It's stuff like that. I do like the side quests, the way they did it this time, where it's more like random encounters, and you can just go and talk to somebody. And,
really weird stuff.
Yeah, really weird, funny stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to kind of discover all that stuff, but it's just a really, really bloated game. And I've been getting so much crap for for, and that's fine because I will stand by it. And the farther I get into it, the farther, the more confident I get in my decision. But that's not to say, the enjoyment of the game and the quality of the game aren't like mutually exclusive. You can have, my enjoyment was, 90 hours. I would have stopped if I would have hated it, but at the same time, you have to recognize that, Ubisoft just keeps, force feeding us this stuff, and we lap it up and we love it. And I think I just hit a point where I was just like, man, I need a little bit of a refresh, just something, where just don't change stuff, just change stuff, change it and make it meaningful, and make, that being said, still a good game, still a great launch game. Everybody, it's on both consoles, so everybody gets to play it, and experience it. It's good. It's still good. It's just not great. I still liked Odyssey a little bit better, I think, having played through the whole thing, almost.
No.
No. I'll just want to say that's interesting because then most people I know who have played Odyssey don't prefer it. So that's interesting. I'm glad
Well, so here's the thing, though. I mean, how much of you guys have played at least to where you go to England? Everybody knows you go to England, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Up until that point, you're basically siblings. One's a dick with a power trip, and then the other one is like, it's essentially Odyssey in the story as well. And then you get to England, and it's just like, I'm going to do all these things to build up whatever my settlement, and and not conquer, but like get these people to come and help you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing over and over again, and there's really no attachment to it. Like there was a point for about 30 hours that while I was doing the main story, I didn't realize that this had anything to do with the overall narrative of the game. It's so disconnected. And then, you get to a point you're like, oh, well, hey, there he is. I remember that guy from 20 hours ago. That's awesome. I'm glad he's still alive. So,
that's true. Actually, they do that.
Yeah, it's once you guys get farther in, you kind of see what I'm saying. But it's still good. It's still fun. It's fun to take a Warhammer and smash somebody's head off of it like a baseball bat. It's hilarious. Once you start getting, I have all the skills unlocked, stuff that I would never have thought I'd use. Like when somebody throws a spear at you and you just grab it out of midair and return it to his face. It's awesome.
Yeah. Projectile reverse. I love that one.
Oh
too.
My gosh.
That's fantastic.
It's so good. And I do it like not even meaningful. And I'm a guy who plays on easy mode. I'm playing it on a hard difficulty now because I got to the point where I was playing on normal. I was so overpowered just from doing just some, a couple side missions here and there. I was so overpowered that I was just destroying dudes in like one shot, or I'd hit them with a hammer, they fall down, and I'd stomp on their head, and then that would be it, which was fun. That's the fun part for me. I mean,
combat's
that
great.
sounds terrible. No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. But yeah, I mean, it's still enjoyable for sure. But now I have to play Yakuza because Nick said it was good. So we're gonna see what happens here.
See, I think my favorite thing that you shared, I think it was you that shared it, was the running people in the background of the cutscene. Which is so great because I'm playing Breakpoint with a friend, and oh my god, the NPCs have no freaking idea what to do while you're having a cutscene.
No,
I was literally talking to a dude, and there was like a fight going on, and I have people taking cover, throwing grenades and everything, and I'm having this calm conversation with this guy and his daughter, and I'm like,
that's exactly what happened to me. I put it on Twitter yesterday. I had that happen to me when I played it, and it was hilarious. Like at the very end, I'm like the conversation, this guy comes up to me and he's got like his gun like this, but he doesn't have a gun in his hand, like right to my head, and then the conversation ends. Like, what the hell's going on? They're just like walking around.
And like I've seen people sharing like footage of like, they're like, oh, this game looks so good. I saw one and this dude sitting down to like, he's playing like the female assassin. He sits down to have this conversation, and this dude just comes running through the camp, hops the fence, and fucks off. And I'm like,
I've had that happen a few times. It's kind of
like
kind of funny.
I get that's kind of realistic because like you're at the McDonald's having a conversation with your friend and some crackhead goes running by. He's like, "Woo, I'm naked!" Like it's kind of realistic, but like,
what McDonald's are you going to, man?
Right? No kidding. I'd be a little
whichever.
Woo.
Yeah, but speaking of things, I can't segue from McDonald's crackheads to this, but anyways, in a complete surprise to no one because the console launched and it wasn't there. The Xbox Series launch title, Crossfire X, has been delayed to 2021, simply because we ran out of 2020 for it to release in, basically.
Sure. Hey guys, I'll be right back 1 second.
Yep. So basically, Crossfire X is delayed to 2021, so you can't play mediocre Counter-Strike with an amazing single-player campaign done by Remedy until 2021, which is a shame. Tell me I'm wrong though. Like honestly, anyone call me out for that being a wrong assessment?
No, I played the multiplayer beta. It's shiny Counter-Strike. It's shiny Counter-Strike is what it is. It's that I don't mean that in a good or bad way. It just sort of is. Like it is Counter-Strike, but shiny. I will say the mode where there's a couple of guys who go invisible but have knives. They have like stealth suits, and there's a full team who aren't stealth trying to track them down. That mode is really cool. I did enjoy that, because it gave me flashbacks of like playing as a predator and being invisible in the 2010 AVP game. So that was pretty cool.
That's a good game.
But yeah, really, the reason I'm interested in that game is the campaign from Remedy. Like that's the real thing. I've heard very good things from like IGN, the US Gamer, rest in peace. They did a preview on it. Jez, my boss at Windows Central, he got to see it. Everyone has said that campaign looks really cool. The Remedy is doing some interesting things. So, I'll be there when it comes out.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like when I see things get delayed now, it just does not move me one way or the other. I'm like, do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. Like, I'm not.
You're right with that. I never really thought of it like that. Like I saw a bunch of stuff got delayed this week, and I'm like, I hope everyone's okay.
Yeah,
and that was like literally my response now. Like I'm just like, I hope everyone's safe and everyone's okay. Like I literally have no emotional even with the last Cyberpunk delay, I was just like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just hit this point where it's like, yeah, if you can't put a game out in a timely fashion, I kind of get it.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie, to segue this into what we've been playing, I've been playing an older game, and when you brought up when we talked about Remedy doing a single player campaign, this is the IP I'd love to see Remedy take over. I've been playing the original Fear on PC.
Ooh, dude, the AI.
Very good.
If you play Fear, play it on the hardest difficulty, because you will not be able to appreciate the AI if it's not on the hardest difficulty. But that game, man, with its the horror elements are amazing. The lighting is so weird, and like that game is so far ahead of the curve for when it released. It's literally blows my mind that game came out like 14 years ago, I think.
Long time ago.
It's old. I'd love to see Remedy do a Fear game, because I'd love to see Remedy tackle like sci-fi horror, because like Remedy's tackled a lot of like sci-fi, but I'd like to see them like dibble their toes in the horror. And people keep saying that's why I should play Control, because apparently there is a little bit of horror elements into it. But
it's not overt. It's not overt, but it's definitely there.
It's like creepy and unsettling, and it doesn't let you settle into the environment. So I think that's what really kind of really is so prominent about it, is it's an environmental aesthetic. Is it never allows you to just sit there and be like, you can sit there and gape in awe in the visuals and whatnot, but it's not comforting. It's not welcoming. It's very cold, solid.
That's a very good way of putting it, Jerry. It's like it never goes full-blown horror, but it never lets you feel settled. you always feel like something is off, like something is wrong.
Is it kind of like the old Carpenter comment about how to make people feel uncomfortable is by changing something, a really minute detail that your brain will subconsciously notice that something's wrong, but you can't put your finger on it?
Big time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Like one of my favorite things about Control is walking into those rooms and just you have those people randomly floating in the air in these contorted positions, almost like possessed sort of thing, and they're chanting underneath their breath, and you hear the collective voices in the air. It's just like, this is really deeply disturbing and haunting, but it's not ghosts or anything. It's this other worldly paranormal kind of specter or whatever. It's cool. It's very interesting how they did it.
Yeah, and honestly, after playing through Fear, anytime my daughter stands in the hallway behind me now, I'm like, oh, Jesus, fuck. It's just like top level spooks. So we'll go around what we've all been playing because it's been a hot minute. And since we were talking about Assassin's Creed, me and Eric were talking a little bit about Assassin's Creed in the DMs over the past week. So Eric, you've been going back. Everyone's like, yeah, we're playing Valhalla. Eric's like, you guys, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Origins. So Eric, what do you think of Origins?
Well, let me first say, before I jumped into Origins, I wrapped up and finished Link's Awakening.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a nice little distraction, fun. So definitely, if you haven't played it yet, definitely recommend it. But Origins, man. With all the Assassin's Creed stuff going on and talks or whatever, I've had that in my backlog for a while, and like I said, I've been in Assassin's Creed head for a long time, but just never really got to the point where I felt like taking on for all the reasons we just talked about, for the last 25 minutes or so. I was like, this is going to be an undertaking, both of these games, Origins and Odyssey. But finally jumped in and been digging it so far. Now, what I told you guys the other day is I didn't give a damn. I went ahead. I took advantage of the level bump they give you to 45.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll do that, and I'm going to work retroactively. So I got that. And like Dan was saying, I'm completely overpowered, but I'm completely okay with owning everybody right now. Running around the map, one shot hitting everybody in the head. And I'm like, I'm good with this. I just want to experience the story because I'm so far behind these games. They're so bloated. But I'm still enjoying it. I'm enjoying Bayek's story because it is really good and the setting is really good. But yeah, you just kind of look around and you see the diamond shapes, and you just something the way Dan said, I think, and I heard this on another podcast. They said it's something of the way you take like Tsushima, and it kind of works organically, like you're just kind of moving through, right? And you're picking up, and not all of the side stories in Tsushima were great, but it just had a way of kind of flowing. You never felt like it was work. You never felt like, all right, let me check this one out. Like, what does this one do? And there's so many of those little diamonds, and you're like, this is weird. There's too many things going on right now, So I just kind of been taking the main story and kind of flowing into the things that kind of interest me, and not really letting it control me like my OCD would usually do when I play a game like this. Because I do want to try it. I do want to play Origins, not Origins, but Odyssey as well. But what's weird, I'm watching people losing their minds over the bugs in Valhalla, and I'm like, have you guys never played an Assassin's Creed game? This is what it does.
Yeah.
Origins still has bugs. Origin still is wonky. I've gone in a couple times, had to restart the game because my audio was gone.
Yeah,
or I had to restart the game because there's nothing on the map. Or character, like you said, NPCs are in the background just doing weird shit as I'm playing the game. I'm like, what are you doing back there? So that's just a part of it. But no, overall, I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying Origins, so it's sort of like a good distraction. I don't have to think too much about it. And like I said, if you do check it out, don't be ashamed to use the level bump because, I just didn't have the mindset to do all the grinding. I wanted to experience it, but I had no desire to do that grind to get to the next mission.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why you decided to do that. It's just it's artificial, engagement. It's sort of we're going to make you do this to make you play the game this way. You're like, I'm level 10 and I know my next mission is level 23. What?
Yeah, and Eric, that's interesting because that's a common thing, right? Is everyone loves Bayek's story. His story is well regarded as like arguably the strongest since Assassin's Creed 2 with Ezio. I would dare to say it's very well done. It's very well written. Yeah. But that artificial gating is, I think, probably some of the worst in the series. I didn't play Odyssey, so I don't know. Odyssey may have been worse, but like outside of Odyssey, because I have to remove that, the artificial gating is just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's about the same in Odyssey.
Okay.
Better. They do give you the option to purchase with money a XP boost that will, you get like an extra 10% every time you do something, which is garbage.
Because I have the season pass, so like at one point as I'm playing the game, I went back to the main screen and said, "Hey, you can use this level boost to level 45, this XP boost if you want."
Bam!
I'm like, done.
It's a good call.
I just want to experience the game. I don't want to grind to get. And then it unfolded this plethora of stuff. I had like all these like legendary weapons and like all this stuff going on. And I'm sure some people are like, it's not the pure way to play. And I'm like, well, they didn't design a pure game.
Nope. That's fair. You got to just do it.
Yeah. Bad. Just to me, in my opinion, I get it. If that was odd, if you played Odyssey when it first came out and that's what you were playing, and the only thing you were playing, I get it. But we're beyond that. So it's sort of like it's showing the flaw of, like you said, it's artificial gating just to do it, just to, get you engaged or maybe even push you to do this microtransaction. It's just, it is what it is.
Ubisoft, when they went, we're going to make an RPG, took the most obnoxious element out of JRPGs, which is every developer thinking you have 100 hours of your time is worth grinding on minions. The great thing that I loved about Western RPGs was the fact they didn't do that nonsense. You never sat there in like a BioWare game and had to grind for like 10 hours to get to a boss. You just played the game naturally. That was the great thing about Western versus JRPG. But Ubisoft just seems to be taking the worst aspects of JRPGs and being like, yeah, we can monetize that. And it just kind of sucks.
Yeah. And they like doing the credit thing too. Because Odyssey has what, Jared and guys, it's about a few hours before you actually get to the first credit, like the actual opening title of the game.
Yeah.
You're doing some mission stuff with Bayek. And again, it's like you're running around, you're enjoying it. It's all good. The story stuff is so good, man. And Bayek is such an interesting character, and Egypt is such an awesome setting. It's so beautiful. So that's the great part of it. But you're sitting there and you're like, all right, so I'm a level 10. I'm moving along. This is great. Okay, what are people talking about? The pace is like Nick saying with the Dark Souls boss. I'm moving at a brisk pace. I'm level 10 already. And then you finish that first initial setup mission, and then it opens up the world, and you're like, hey, man, your next mission, you got to be level 24.
What?
I do.
No, you know what made me turn off Odyssey? I accidentally hit left trigger and unzoomed out on the map, and I went, oh no, and turned off the game. That was basically
and those areas are huge.
And look, I'm enjoying Valhalla again. I'm really enjoying Valhalla, but I definitely had that moment as well, like making a ton of progress and seeing the bars get mostly filled up. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And then I hit left trigger, and it's like, oh yeah, this is just Norway.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Just one whole ass country.
Hold up. Yeah, you got Norway, you got England, and then there's 3 more other areas, by the way. Side area, actually technically 4. Because there's Vinland, which is North America, and it's very tiny. It only takes a couple hours, probably 3 or 4 hours just to get through that whole little area. But then there's 3 other areas for you to go side questing and adventuring on. And just so you know.
Yeah. And
5, 6 maps, basically.
Before we move on, can I throw this out there? Because I know Ubisoft is listening. Everyone would be okay. It may not make sense, but everyone would be completely fine if you never did an Animus section again in any of these games. No one cares. It's like, I don't care. I'll do everything I can to stay out of going back to the real world. I just want to be in this world and run around.
You know what the problem is, Eric? Is like, because spoiler alert for a game that's 8 years old if you haven't somehow played Assassin's Creed 3 by this point, okay? Fair warning. You had your chance.
Plenty of them.
The Animus sections used to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be interesting. Desmond and the modern day conspiracy were legitimately cool. The reveal at the end of Assassin's Creed 2 was legitimately cool. Like that was a bone chilling moment. That was one of those, you put the controller down and you immediately called your friend to see like if they had finished the game yet. It was incredible. It was mind blowing.
No, if you want to be fair, I've only been out of the actual game in the Animus twice.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
In Valhalla.
To be fair, it's very rare. It is very
rare now.
To be fair, but like,
I don't even understand why they keep doing it. It's like no one cares.
But you know, to get to what I was saying is like, ever since Desmond's death, they've been flailing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. It's like they don't know what they're trying to do with it. At this point, I heard someone say it's Kingdom Hearts, but for dude bros, and I can't disagree. Like I really I don't like Kingdom Hearts. I dislike it, but I can't disagree. Like that is a valid way of putting it.
Well,
yeah. And you know what else, man? They made you care about Desmond because it was actually his lineage.
Yes, exactly.
He had a tie to the whole thing. You know, like,
yes,
yeah. In this case, you're like, I don't care. Well,
in Valhalla, they actually, it's not really a spoiler, but you find things that bring you your character that's in the Animus into into the world where it's like a side quest.
Yeah.
Where you do like a puzzle jumping thing. So I prefer that over having to jump out and look at my emails and my video logs and all this other garbage. Yeah, it's crazy.
Absolutely. I actually totally agree with that one too, because they're making it a little bit more interesting, and not just that, but when you get near the end of those puzzles, you start hearing this recording, because in the previous games you'd have like you'd go do these little side missions, adventures, or whatnot, and you get these recordings of like the ancients or whatever, those the higher ones, basically the people that made everything, the Apple of Eden and all that fun stuff. And you start getting these little bits of lore when you do these sort of things. And then a short little video clip at the end of a certain event or whatever. And that alone gets me more interested in Animus sections than, a 1 hour little lame ass mission to go check my email, like Dan said, or to go run around to piece of some sort of a story together. Yeah, that doesn't cut it for me. This mysteries side activity thing, much better.
Yep.
Dude bros. I quit. Jared, what have you been playing?
All right, well, Valhalla, of course, been playing a couple of that, but I'm not going to touch more on that at all. We've basically beaten that horse to death. What else have I been playing? I've been playing Doom Eternal. I've been picking away at that, and it's been, of course, godly to play. My monitor's not fast enough. I'm gonna have to like beg Asus or LG for their 300 FPS monitors to even properly play Doom Eternal. Because yes, that is right. I'm averaging at about 200 FPS right now. 200 to 300 FPS on that damn game. It is insane. And my screen only goes 165. So it is beautiful.
Don't hate some of those frames too. Never mind. It's going to be a really bad joke. Never mind. Keep going.
Oh, and it's on maximum settings as well, just so you know. Nice. Well, yeah, it's quite beautiful. What else have I been playing? Destiny 2. That's another one. Yes. I'll always be a Destiny guy. I like my Destiny. Got to get back into that game. But that's about it. That's all I really have had time for. Yeah.
Right on. Sam, what about you?
And he's like, oh, right. Thanks. Wow.
Yeah, thanks. Good timing there. I'm hungry. What can I say? I'm not going to apologize. This is great roast beef. Hey, it's great. My brother's did a great job on it. It's fantastic. So you can. Yes, I'm not paying for your plane ticket, but if you show up at the door, we'll provide food. Is that fair? Yeah. All right. I've been playing a few things. I guess I'll go in order of least to most. Astro's Playroom, incredible. All-time great pack-in game contender. It's fantastic. It shows off the DualSense really well. It's just, how do I put this? That game feels handcrafted in a way few do, if that makes any sense. Like, it feels like a human being carefully took a look at every single little thing. It's beautiful. It really is. It's like 3-4 hours long. I've basically beaten it. I've almost got the platinum. I just need to go back and get a couple of like the collectibles that I missed or whatever. It's really good. Definitely check it out when you get a PS5 if you haven't yet. Let's see. Miles Morales. I haven't beaten Miles Morales yet, so I don't want to talk too much in depth about it. It's shiny Spider-Man 2018. I don't mean that in a bad way. That's not a bad thing. It's just it is a very shiny version of that game. It's like, how do I put this? I think they did a good job with the side content. The side content is much more engaging than the previous game. Like, Miles is actually a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, emphasis on the neighborhood. You even have like the little app where people in Harlem are putting in requests for like, hey, find my pigeons, find my cat. And it's like, it's charming. It's endearing because it makes sense. This is Miles getting his legs, so to speak. I think the main campaign isn't quite as compelling as it could have been, but I don't want to go too far in depth because I haven't finished it yet. I do want to finish it. It's a good game. It's good. If you liked the previous one, and I'm not sure why you wouldn't, then you'll definitely like Miles. The last game I've really been spending a lot of time with is Demon Souls. How much do you want me to go off the rails here, Nick? Because I can talk about this game for about 7 hours.
As much as you can.
All right. Okay. Here we go. So this is a beautiful remake. Bluepoint's previous work was good, right? They did a great job on the Uncharted trilogy, the Nathan Drake collection. They did a good job on Shadow of the Colossus. But it was just a good job. Here, this is immaculate. This is one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. The texture work, the materials, the weapons, the enemies, the boss designs. It's magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. The way that it uses the DualSense features and the triggers and the feedback to convey combat feels a lot better than even other Souls games, which I think have good combat. I don't know. There's something special about the janky, ugly game that started the Souls trend being remade as a PS5 launch title. I don't know. I find something about that to my brain is beautiful, and it really works well. I've beaten it. Took me about 36, 37 hours to beat it with one character. I've started 3 more characters, and I'm on New Game Plus testing a few different builds, and I want to try and get some different items. Now that the secret door has been figured out, I'm trying to gather the ceramic coins, and I'm working on getting the platinum. It's a lot of fun. If you want some co-op, please hit me up.
Man.
Beat
How
the
many
game,
characters?
and I started 3 other characters.
Yeah, what?
Man, you sound like the Amish dude in the village. I got my first wife, and then the other 3 just came along now.
Jeez.
Hey. In Sam's defense here, when you really get into a Souls game, you play that game not once, it's like 10 times before you're actually done with it.
Man.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
You pick
Dan,
one build,
what have you been playing?
I'm not Demon Souls, only because I suck. I'll just put that out there. It's one of those things where I know I would regret it. Like, I've made it past the first Dark Souls 3 boss. That's it. I made it past the tutorial, the original Dark Souls game. And then I went to a campfire and there was a ghost there, and I think I insulted him or I smacked him in the face, and then he just killed me over and over and over again. I was like, what is happening? What did I do wrong? Did I break the game? No, it's just Dark Souls. I was like, I'm good. I respect those games though, because they look amazing. And, I feel like the payoff would be really good, if you were to finish it, just like the accomplishment. I know it would for me because I can barely, like I said, get past the first boss. What else have I've been playing Miles. I finished that. It was really good. Valhalla. What else have I been playing? Probably Yakuza now. Thanks a lot. The amount of crap that I'm going to have to take for that game is going to be immense. And the Pathless, man. I picked that game up, and I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this, because I hate these games. I hate these, they seem very pretentious indie games that have some kind of weird meaning. and an awesome soundtrack or score. It is so good. I can't put it down. I mean, the only reason I did is I'm trying to finish Valhalla, and I think I'm done with that, so I'm going straight to the Pathless. It's so much fun. I only played a couple hours, so that one's going to be on the until I finish it. That's probably my next one. Just nail that one down.
I'm looking at it right now too. I'm just like, I don't got time, but I really want to play it now. And
it takes a minute to kind of get going, but once you do, just the feeling of you just fly through. I mean, it's just so seamless, you know. But it challenges you a little bit, so it's really really fun. Love that game. Bugsnax, of course, but you know, I mean, who doesn't play Bugsnax? Game of the year. Gosh, what else? That's about it, man. I've been I kind of tried out all the upgraded Series X, you know, games to see how they ran. A couple of them on the PlayStation. Days Gone, I kind of jumped into for an hour or so just to see how it ran. And then, you know what? I'm at the point now where it's just like, all right, you know, I see what the potential is. When I saw Valhalla the first time in 60 FPS, I was like, damn, man, I feel swindled when I bought the 1X because, you know, that was, you know, that mid-gen refresher. I was just like, man, we're going to get some 4K stuff and this and this and this. I could never tell the difference, and it drove me crazy. I felt like I wasted $500. Not this time. This time I feel like, you know, I'm actually, and this is just out the gate, right? So you know, you're looking down the road. Once they are able, the developers are able to actually, you know, do something with the power of these consoles. I think, you know, we may never obviously get to the PC level, but for the convenience and, you know, what it brings to the table, totally happy with my purchase. Haven't had anything go wrong with them so far, except for some smart delivery stuff, and the quick resume on Valhalla, they, I guess, disabled because they were having issues with it. So short of that, it's been awesome. So just a lot of games, lots and lots of games.
Nice, man. Nice.
Absolutely. And I have been playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, and my God, I was doing so great. I did the first 5 chapters in like 10 hours. I spent 20 hours in chapter 5 doing side activities. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm a go-kart champion now. I may or may not have spent about 100,000 yen in a women's club to increase the friendships with my whole party, because there's a whole bonding mechanic where you do things to increase your relationship with your friends, and then you go to a bar and you drink, and then you level that up and they do more damage and they get new skills. So there's like this whole friendship mechanic. I spent a lot of time upgrading all my weapons, and a lot of the weapons are kink toys. So that's a lot of fun. There is nothing quite as great as beating someone with what they say is a butt stimulation toy, but it's a bola, a medieval bola.
That bodes well.
Yeah, the game is phenomenal, and like, it's goofy and everything else, but tackles a lot of stuff that I'm really impressed that Japanese developer touched on. Japanese studios aren't exactly ones to talk about social issues or anything the case may be, but the game from chapters 2 to 4 does a better job depicting the endless cycle of homelessness and everything else than has ever been done in a newspaper editorial on someone who's paid to write about it. It really gets into the whole hopeless circle, because you start a mission, you're like, oh, well, I can't work for the Yakuza anymore, so I need to go find a job. So you go into an employment agency and you're like, hey, can I get a job? They're like, what's your address? You're like, I don't have an address. I'm homeless. They're like, well, you're unemployable in Japan because you don't have a home address. If you don't have a home address, we won't employ you. So then you spend a chapter trying to find somewhere where you can live so that you can get a job. And it's like this heartbreaking, depressing cycle of things. It's just amazing that in a game where I can beat people that are lubed up in Speedos, they're beating me with bath mats, and I'm beating them in turn with hand vibrators, is that it's a game that tackles social issues better than most AAA story-driven games.
Amazing.
And it's so weird to have the best of both spectrums. It's like someone sat down with someone like me and was like, okay, we're going to pick your brain for the silly stuff, but we're going to have someone really smart write the good stuff. And it's really brilliantly executed. Gears Tactics is next on the docket after Yakuza Like a Dragon. That's another goddamn 40-hour game, so that's going to be a lot. I think so.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But I've also started a little game called Dark Souls 3.
There we go. Round of applause.
So I decided to play. I was an idiot. One morning I woke up. I was hungover, still kind of stoned from the night before, and I was like, Dark Souls 3 is only $12. And instead of taking that $12 and paying someone to shoot me in the head, I decided to buy Dark Souls 3 instead. Did not buy the DLC because my friend said you're not enough of a masochist for the DLC. So I did not. So I loaded up Dark Souls 3 and I was like, just give it a shot. Killed first boss, no problem. Psh, easy. Rolled off a cliff 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
Rough.
That's the way.
I will say without a doubt, I am probably the reverse Dark Souls player. Bosses, breeze. I can breeze through the bosses, no problem so far. Mobs? I'm getting smacked around. Like, I literally sat there, I was like, oh, look at these little worshiper guys that I can one hit. And then one turned into this giant tentacle thing that fucking yeeted me off a roof.
Yes.
And then I sat there and I was like yelling at my friend at work about it. I was like, this stupid thing just keeps hucking me off a roof. I'm so mad about it. He's like, oh, just run up and sword slash it once. If you kill it before it transforms, it insta-dies. And I'm like,
That's basically what you have to do every single time.
And also, I also did not realize there was a bonfire directly above that segment. So I was going all the way back from the high wall start and going all the way to that segment every time. So far, I've only bought 3 claw hammers from Home Depot, so we'll see how this progresses. But yeah, no, it's a great game. Please, From Software, go unlock your frame rates for the love of God, because playing everything at 60 FPS above and then going back to Dark Souls 3 and being locked to 30 is the jankiest feeling switch ever. And also watching everyone play Demon Souls in 60, and I'm like, grabby hands, I want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big difference, especially for a game like that. Those frames make a big difference.
Well, unless you beat Blight Town in full filmic experience at 8 frames per second, you're not a real Dark Souls fan.
Oh, man.
But speaking of things that makes you not a real Dark Souls fan, the Game Awards, they cometh. The Keeley Meister has brought them all back together again for one more heist. I don't know where I was going with that.
It started strong. Poor finish.
Yeah. He'll be nominated in a category that'll get rewarded in the middle of a commercial. It's fine. So the Game Awards, I will preface this as every year we talk about the Game Awards, we generally take the piss out of the entire thing because it's really fun. But I want to preface this with the fact that I really appreciate the fact that Jeff Keighley does this every year and puts up with the amount of flack and bullshit that everyone flings at him and continues to do this, even though for years people told him, this is stupid, this is never going to work. And now it's bigger than the Grammys. So big credit to Jeff Keighley for everything. I love the fact this guy realizes how much of a meme he is now. He's like, here's the PS5 power cord. Like, he totally has it dialed in to the fact he knows how much people hate what he does, and he still does it. So, and the off chance Jeff Keighley comes across this because he keyword searches himself for something on YouTube and scrolls to the 31st page, you're a good guy, Jeff. You're one of the few guys I'd love to have a beer with, except for the fact you always look like you're dead inside. If there's ever a guy that always looks permanently exhausted, it's Jeff Keighley. Every interview I've ever seen him in, they're like, so Jeff, how was it like to host the Game Awards? And he's like, Yeah, it was a great experience. I really loved every second of it, and I gotta start playing in the next one now because this one just finished, and I'm gonna go nap for 2 hours, and then I'm gonna run for another 364 days, and hope Kojima doesn't launch a game next year.
He's like Santa Claus. He's like, how
yeah,
was it,
he legitimately.
It was great.
He's like,
I'll sleep for 2 hours, and now we got to get started on next Christmas.
legitimately, like, will not knock this guy. Like, even with like his Half-Life Alyx stuff, where he was like, "Look at this document." I'm like, "Where did you have time?" Where, like, Jeff Keighley is like time traveling. He's using like one of those Harry Potter time turner things to do shit. I swear, because like he's everywhere but not everywhere at the same time, and it's phenomenal. So we're going to start at the bottom categories. We're skipping the esports categories. It's not because esports isn't important. None of us follow esports, so it would be pointless for us to go over it. Shout out to the people that are nominated in the esports category. Y'all are amazing. I just don't have the time in the day to be up to date on that stuff anymore.
That was very diplomatic. Good job.
Thank you. I will, however, link my good friend of mine has an esports podcast, and I linked their episode down below. And it's a 2-hour breakdown of the nominations for the Game Awards on the esports side of things. So if you guys are interested in that, the content is down below. But we're going to start with the first category, which is Best Debut Game, which they completely redid the Game Awards site this year. And it's really not as user-friendly as it was last year, so bear with me. So for the best debut game created by a new independent studio, we've got Carrion, which is done by Phobia Game Studios, Mortal Shell, which is done by Cold Symmetry /Playstack. We've got Raji and Ancient Epic, which I've never even heard of, which is done by Nodding Head Games. And then Roki by... Roki by Polygon Treehouse, and then Phasmophobia from Kinetic Games. Anyone play any of these games? Well, I know Jared played Mortal Shell.
Yep.
I played Carrion.
Yeah, Carrion. I played
a bit of Carrion as well.
Now this is a really like unique category because it's the first game from the studio. It has to be like their debut game, first time ever making a game, yada yada yada. Was there a game from this category that you guys would pick, or is there a game that you can think of that wasn't in this category? This category is really narrow in terms of what could be in it. So we'll just go, I'm just going to go in the descending order of my screen. So it'll go Sam, Jared, Dan, Eric, and that's how we'll do this for it. Either put a vote for what is on this selection, or if you have an alternative, state what your alternative would be. And we'll try to keep it brief and short because we want to give every category its shine. Good to go?
Fair enough.
Okay, so Samuel.
Carrion. Love Carrion. Great game. Also the one I've played on the list. So, you know, that helps.
Same.
Yeah, mine would be Mortal Shell.
Carrion for me.
Yeah, Carrion for sure. I mean, that's only because, like Sam said, that's all I played.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, Souls fans in here and they haven't played Mortal Shell. I
want to play Mortal Shell, but yeah, just again like that time thing.
Decided to play Origins anyways. One's a shorter game, by the way.
It's like you're buying games right now. What is that?
See, I've come to the conclusion with you guys. I'll never make you happy with the games I play because I'll be like, "Hey, I'm playing that game you guys suggested." You're like, "Yeah, but you're not playing this one, you asshole." And I'm like, I need like 6 more sets of hands to play all the games that you guys recommend all the time. Because like Carrion is a game I need to play because everyone's like, it's really funny and dark, and I'm like, I like funny dark stuff. So the next one is the next category is definitely the one that is always interesting, which is Content Creator of the Year, which has gone to some really, really great people over the years. It has been given to some really interesting people over the years. But this year's nominees are Alana Pierce, who recently got hired at Sony Santa Monica, which congrats to her. Jayanne Lopez, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tatman, and Valkyrie, which of all of those, I'm only familiar with Tim and Alana, and I'm going to have to give it to Tim simply for his Fall Guys content.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that carried a wave of content for a couple of weeks of the anticipation of him. Is he ever going to actually win a round of this thing? The poor man finally won one, and yeah, that was
that was the guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Batman.
I remember that now.
His freakouts too were really, really entertaining to watch. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, Sam, what about you? Where you at with content creator of the year?
The only one I'm familiar with is Alana Pierce, so I'd give it to her.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, I'm going with Tim because I know Alana, but the Fall Guys stuff was pretty fun. So
I'm with Sam because I don't know anyone here but Alana. So.
Man, you can really tell about our gaming sphere of things because it's like we have all this knowledge about the most obscure games, but it's like, hey, this content creator, and I'm like, who?
Who that?
Like the last gaming YouTuber I remember watching that wasn't like a review or anything, that was just like a shits and giggles kind of content creator was like Jacksepticeye like 5 years ago. And that's it. Like that's my knowledge of content creation in terms of like outside of reviewers or anyone that would get nominated for this category. Because like there's reviewers and like review tubers that I would nominate for this, but it's not the thing that this category represents the most, I think. But I digress. So now it's into a category that might actually get some spicy takes into this conversation. Best multiplayer. It's hilarious to me that the first thing listed is a freaking Nintendo game because that is so funny to me. So best multiplayer game nominees is Animal Crossing New Horizon, Among Us, Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, and somehow Valorant got in, and I feel like that's really odd. But so one thing I really want to point out is interest is Jeff really is pushing. It really feels like he's like the rules are like blended to the line. I know he said it doesn't matter when the game releases, it can be nominated, but it feels really weird that Among Us is there. I understand it's like one of the biggest games of this year, but it came out like 2 years ago and it's nominated. And I feel like there was other multiplayer games they could have put there. I know this is nominated and it's not Jeff's choice. So a bunch of people just went Among Us and it's there. But out of that list, I kind of have to go with Call of Duty Warzone because it's the biggest and it's most consistent and front to back. I had more fun with it. I don't know who put Animal Crossing in there as a fun multiplayer experience. Sam.
This is tough because I actually would push back on you. I know a lot of people who have had great multiplayer experiences in Animal Crossing, especially due to the way this year has been. But for me personally, I'm going to agree with you and go with Call of Duty Warzone.
Jared.
All right. Well, I'm going to pick actually something that's quality and pick Fall Guys.
Ooh, nice.
Something different.
Well, unfortunately.
What are you going to say?
I was going to say the only thing the Fall Guys has is a falling player count. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, ouch. Oh, no, I like that game so much just because of how different it was. And it came out at a time where the world kind of needed it, didn't realize how much they needed it. And they really, really were like, okay, this is great because it's not serious. It's all fun and games. There's a bunch of basically a race to the end to get, crown. It's a game stage, whatever, the game show sort of thing, aesthetic. And it really took off and the popularity was huge. It's still very, very popular. It's still going very strong. And for a release game debut, that's fantastic. For a brand new title, awesome. Love it.
Also has an untitled Goose Game skin that you can get, so it automatically kind of wins for that alone.
I don't even think.
The Devolver Digital has to be sitting there going, yeah, this is real nice right now.
They pick the best games.
I can't wait to see when we get it like an E3-like event again. I can't wait to see what money Devolver is going to sink into that showcase because of Fall Guys. They're going to be like, we could do AAA promotions now. Dan, where are you at with multiplayer?
I'm going to have to go with Fall Guys too, I guess, because I mean it's one I played nothing but that. Now you could look at Animal Crossing. Like if I were gonna go, who's gonna win? Maybe it might be different for me though. I mean, I think that's the only one I played, number one, and it was fun for the time I did do it until it got really super, like a lot of cheaters is what I'm trying to say. I played with. That was probably one of the only multiplayer games I played this entire year. You know, I'm more of obviously a single player guy. I'll jump on some co-op stuff every once in a while, but it was fun and they did a really good job with it. And the little bit I played, super enjoyable. So I don't even know what the hell Valorant is. So what's going to go?
I don't. I understand it has a massive player base and everything else, but it felt like the most forced thing ever for me. So, now to the guy who definitely has a very strong opinion on the best multiplayer game of 2020, Eric, who is like basically our version of Lord Saw from ILP in terms of single player and multiplayer experiences. What's your favorite multiplayer game this year, Eric?
What you guys don't know is I have like 400 hours in Valorant.
I knew it.
Lies.
All lies. Let's see here. The only game I've actually played here is Fall Guys, and when I say played, I mean I dabbled in it like a little bit here and there. You know,
Yep.
I thought it was a really cool concept. I just didn't dedicate much time to it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was, like I said, it was fun. I know it caught the wave, and the wave kind of has slowed down. Animal Crossing, I'm going to buy for my daughter for Christmas. I didn't play New Horizons, but I played a ton of New Leaf, so I kind of know what's going on in there, so I can understand why that's there. But I would pick Fall Guys, I guess, just because that's the only one I've really touched. That's if nothing else.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with you there. I really don't think it matters what people choose. It's gonna be Among Us because it's the hottest thing this second.
And AOC played it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Now into a category that is so dry for me that I literally have turned into dust in the wind. The best sports / racing category. If you ever wanted to know why Codemasters was picked up by Take-Two, they have 2 games this year in this category. So keep that in mind. Dirt 5, F1 2020, FIFA 21, which is so hilarious that that's on here, NBA 2K21, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. I've played very little, if any of these games. I'm giving it to Tony Hawk just on the principle that it's the only fun game in that batch of games.
Agreed.
100%.
Pretty much.
I'm with you.
100%. That game is awesome. They did, hats off. They did a great job with that remake.
Yep. Also, EA and 2K can suck it.
And I'm truly hoping that Tony Hawk just destroys that whole category and takes it, because it honestly, to me, I think that's the game that deserves it. Like I said, I laugh at FIFA being there. 2K21, even, I mean, you have your fans that are going to defend it no matter what, but I see more people annoyed with that series now than I see hype, in my opinion, anyway. You play it, people play it because they have no option.
Right.
So
it's like 2K is like crack cocaine. People are like, I literally watch one great guy I follow on Twitter, Arsenal. He goes through it every year. I followed him since 2014. He goes, I freaking hate 2K. Every time I buy it, I get sucked into it. I play for 100 hours. I'm disappointed in myself every time. I'm not doing it this year. And every year, like clockwork, he will buy it, sink 100 hours into it, be disappointed about it, and then do it again next year. Also, shout out to Mike P from Multiverse. He does it with Madden every year. Plays through the first month of it, loves it, then hates it, and then it's a cycle. We all end up in our own cycles of abuse, and there's tons of outreach and help that you can get. You can buy better games. You can look at the Game Pass tab or the PS Now tab and find better games to play. There is support for you out there, so you don't have to play.
No, No, there isn't, man. I just keep going back to Destiny, man. I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
Yeah, well, there's a special place in warm places for people that like Destiny. So, in a category that is, as someone who plays strategy games, very confusing to me, the best simulation / strategy game category, which is such a weird blend of games for a category. I feel like they just had to put flight sim in somewhere, so they shoved it in here. Hold on while the Game Awards screen loads here, because apparently it has to load each page individually. So we've got Crusader Kings 3, Desperados 3, Gears Tactics, XCOM Chimera Squad, and Microsoft Flight Sim. So basically, 5 strategy games and a sim game. So of those games, what would you say is your pick? My pick, weirdly enough, I haven't played Gears Tactics yet, so I can't say anything, but Crusader Kings 3 is ridiculously fun and way too in-depth, and it has no business being as good as it is. And if you have a PC, give it a shot. Even if you have a potato PC, it's really, really good. And it's on PC Game Pass.
One of the highest rated games this year.
Yeah. Sam.
Yeah, of the games I played, XCOM Chimera Squad had some good ideas, but I don't like a lot of what it did. A lot of what it did just ventured too far from what I like about XCOM, even though there was some cool stuff like using alien squad mates and all that. I would definitely give it to Gears Tactics. It's a solid strategy game, and it makes some changes that XCOM needs to consider making. The aggression and the, don't just hunker behind cover, like go play it, very viciously on the field, execute people. That is rewarded very well. It literally feels like a Gears game, just the perspective has been shifted. Splash Damage and the Coalition handled that perfectly. So they did a great job, and I would give it to Gears Tactics.
Well said. Jared, what about you, my friend? PC Mustard Race, stand up and represent.
It's actually a pretty tough category because there's actually some pretty good titles in there. I'd have to give it to Gears Tactics. That'll be my pick. And there's just they took a game that you didn't think would fit so well into a genre like that, and they made it work, and it made it work extremely well, and it's extremely enjoyable, and I really hope that they continue doing that, just kind of like how they went with Halo Wars. Didn't really think we needed an RTS like that, but hey, we got one, and it was freaking awesome. So that gets my vote.
Right on. Dan, what about you? Because I know you're a massive strategy guy.
You're muted, buddy.
You're muted.
Hold on.
There we go.
There he is.
No, I hit the wrong button. I was talking to myself. Would you consider Wasteland 3 in this category? Because it's kind of like the way it's played is kind of a strategy, but it's also kind of a RPG. It's mostly an RPG.
But that's a good
point. You're making a strong argument, though. Honestly,
I can't disagree.
It's right there on the cusp.
I've only played a few hours, but I can't disagree with you.
Yeah. I mean, if that were there, I would probably pick that. That not being there, I would say Gears Tactics. I've only played a couple hours of that, but it was really fun. It's one of the games that I'm going to be on there. Flight Simulator, the problem I had with it, while awesome and really cool, I even had the flight stick, everything ready to go. It was one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is fun for an hour, maybe 2, and then I probably will never play it again. But it's not to take away from what it is, because it is an amazing game. What they did with it at Asobo Studios was nuts. So, but I'm gonna I'm gonna go with Gears Tactics.
Absolutely. Eric, what about you?
I can't really speak to any of them. I have not played any of these at all. I'm kind of with Dan. Like, if Wasteland 3 was on there, I would probably pick that because I don't have a lot of time in that one, but I did check it out. But yeah, that's about as much as I can say. I haven't played any of them yet. I'm not gonna play Gears Tactics until I get a Series X.
Right on. Yeah, and Yeah, it's always a weird category. It's always funny how they balance out the sim and strategy games and what they roll that into, because it really depends what games come out. This year was a decent year for strategy games, but not so much sim games. I want to play Flight Simulator with a flight stick once, but I just want to do it high because I want to know what it's like to fly an airplane while high without the actual risk of hurting people. So that's a goal.
Sure.
So on to the next category, which is best Nintendo game. I mean, best family game, which is a variety of nominees, which are Animal Crossing: New Horizons, Trash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, Fall Guys: Ultimate Knockout, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, Minecraft Dungeons, and Paper Mario Origami King.
Like, what are the criteria? They just have to be geared towards kids? Because, like, none of those games, to me, scream, let's sit down and play, and have some family fun time.
You know what? If I want my 5-year-old to destroy my Xbox, I'll let her play Crash Bandicoot 4, because that game is enragingly hard.
It is very hard.
That being said, I'm going to give it to Animal Crossing, because I've experienced firsthand, my 3-year-old knows how to play Animal Crossing better than I do.
Yeah.
Which emotionally hurts me in a way. But if I'm voting off a family category, both my wife and all my kids got more enjoyment out of Animal Crossing than I ever did. So I'm going to vote. Yeah. And that's where my vote's going. And I think it'll be the winner, honestly.
Yeah.
Sam.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I just don't. Simply because I have to base this on the actions of the people around me, I would give it to Animal Crossing, because I've seen what that game has been for kids and for families. But seriously, like, that's me with my hand forced here. I just don't. I didn't play any of these. Oh well.
My man didn't even play Minecraft Dungeons. How are we supposed to expect that you get a pot of gold from Microsoft if you don't even play their games?
Don't worry. The comment section tell me I got it anyways. It's all right.
No consistency. That's the problem. Jared, what about you, my friend?
Okay. I think it's pretty obvious that Animal Crossing is going to win it, but my personal pick is going to be again for Fall Guys. That's just, yeah. I mean, Animal Crossing, and it is absolutely probably the perfect family game that you could get, but it's not. It's not multiplayer friendly. You have to have multiple switches. You have to have multiple accounts, and then sign up for the online and stuff like that. With Fall Guys, it's just, a simple multiplayer co-op game. You pick up, join in the party, and you go have fun, sort of thing. And it's not serious. You're constantly just competing against each other. And, hey, if you lose one game show, okay, let's go again. It'll take us 10, 15 minutes just to get through it, depending on if we both make it through to the end or not. And you just keep going, having fun. Like, it brings me back to the memories of when me and my 3 brothers were playing Super Smash Brothers all the time when it first came out on the N64. And we would just take turns playing against each other or against the AI or whatever. But Fall Guys gets my pick.
Absolutely. Dan, what about you?
I'm just going to go with Animal Crossing because it's going to win. None of these games, like, I'm looking at them, I'm like, man, there's none of these that I would sit down with my kids and play, like, at all. I mean, it's not that they're bad, but, it's such a, my kids are a little bit older now. They really dug Minecraft Dungeons. I, enjoyed what time I put into Crash Bandicoot. It's just so hard after a while that I want to punch somebody. Paper Mario, I don't even know what happened to that game. I guess it came out because it's nominated, but, it's just such a weird thing. Like Mario Kart Live, if everybody had it, that would probably be the most interactive. Not just because it's actually a remote control, but only because you have to bother everybody to set the whole damn thing up. So Animal Crossing,
that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I got some space, but dang, man, I don't want to be. That's crazy to me. Let's go Animal Crossing. Make it simple. Even though I already did.
I have not played the Crash Bandicoot game, but I've heard how difficult it is. And I know Crash games of the past had a certain level of difficulty to them, but I heard this one is on a whole different level. So I'm not sure what family's sitting around enjoying that together. Animal Crossing, yeah, I guess that's going to show up everywhere because it's just cute and adorable, and it is what it is. I'm calling a little bit of bullshit on that Mario Kart Live, like why that's even in there, because how many people actually own that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, it's a very specific niche thing. It's like a VR type thing, you know, and as far as ownership of it, you know, you need a lot of different things. And the people who I've heard reviewing it are like people in tiny apartments in San Francisco saying, yeah, I can't really do much with this thing.
Mhm.
But for me, my pick would be Minecraft Dungeons, because I've actually had family time with Minecraft Dungeons. Sarah has actually asked me to play that with her. So that would be my pick.
Nice. And now to a category that everyone in this podcast is super emotionally involved in and will definitely start a very big argument. The best fighting game nominee.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's. I mean, did they release it this year?
The only one, right now. I mean, who else
I can't think of a single other one.
All right, so I have to list it out of respect for the category, but we're all going to just pick Mortal Kombat because none of us do fighting games like that. So Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, which I don't even know what the hell that is. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. Street Fighter V Champion Edition. Can we not? Street Fighter V came out like when ago? You can't just, it's a new edition, so we're just throwing that in there.
Gotta fill out the category, Nick.
Yeah.
One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows. How about a game nobody knows?
You're gonna have a bunch of weebs in your mentions now. Like,
and also a game that I can't freaking pronounce. Under Night in Birth EXE : late bracket CL-R.
What?
Yeah, that's my pick too.
Go with that one.
How many waifus have to reject me before I can pronounce that game? How many?
I don't know, but I'm voting for that one.
I vote for that one.
I want that.
Hold on, wait. It's made by French Bread Studios or something. Because that's
Yeah, French Bread, Arc System Works, and another Arc Systems. Because anything Weeby that's a fighting game is made by Arc System Works. Period. End of story.
That's so many reasons to go for that. Is French Bread Studio.
Yep, I'm doing it.
I want them to announce that. I want the person on stage, or not on stage, but whoever's doing it over the to figure out how to say this. Under Night in Birth EXE dot /late control.
I felt like I was reading out a web URL to my grandmother, being like, okay, HTTPS :
It's
/
It's like Hacker Code, the game.
All right, now to a category that I think is worth arguing about: best RPG. So we've got Final Fantasy VII Remake. We've got Genshin Impact. We have Persona 5 The Royal, which once again sneaking a game that's old, but it's technically new into the category. Wasteland 3 and Yakuza Like a Dragon. And wholeheartedly, Yakuza Like a Dragon slaps everything on this list because Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't a full game. I felt it's disturbance in the forest. If Slow-Mo's still in the chat, I'm going to get hit with a blunt weapon. But no, Yakuza Like a Dragon by a mile, best JRPG of this generation so far because it's a new one. Sam.
Wasteland 3. Of what I've played so far, like that is an old school RPG in the way many games just aren't today, and I respect how hardcore it goes. So Wasteland 3.
Absolutely. Jared.
Agree with Sam. Wasteland 3. That's my pick.
Dan.
Yeah, same. I played through that whole thing. It is awesome and definitely worth it. But, we'll see after Yakuza, after I play it, because, reasons. So.
Absolutely. And Eric, I know you had time to play through Persona 5 The Royal and Final Fantasy VII Remake this year.
Yo, man, I'm such a Persona fraud. I have like the OG and Royal sitting here and haven't touched either one yet. And Final Fantasy VII, I'm gonna actually just wait now till I get the PS5. I'm in such a weird place with all this stuff now. I have these games to play, and it's like I want to play them now with the betterment. But the one I put time into out of all these, the most time is Genshin Impact, and that would probably be my vote because it's a really impressive game. For like a free to play, or free to start, I should say. That doesn't egregiously like put its hand in your pocket for every little thing at all. Like you can really get a lot out of it without putting any money into it. I mean, you can, but it's a pretty deep world. So I definitely recommend people play it. Like don't sleep on it.
I definitely think if I was going to pick what I think's going, I think Final Fantasy VII Remake will win because there's enough Square Enix fanboys in there to boost that up to where it needs to be. But Genshin Impact, I think it could be that like sleeper sneak through the wire and snag it. Because it's a game that came out of nowhere and it's the biggest Chinese release game ever. It's done incredible amounts of legwork for that side of the development scene. So I could definitely see if a bunch of Genshin Impact players come together and go, "Hey, let's vote for this." I could see it happening. I could see it. There's a strong argument for it. But yeah, Yakuza Like a Dragon is the actual best one. Now, for best action adventure game, which is an interesting category, as long as there is an Uncharted game released that year. While it loads, come on now. All right, best action adventure is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and The Last of Us Part 2. I'm going to just throw my vote in there and let people move along with it. I am giving it to Ghost of Tsushima because it's the only game I put more time in out of all those games. And what I played was butter smooth. It was great. And while I did beat The Last of Us Part 2 and I enjoyed what I played, I really don't like calling it an action adventure game because that makes it seem like lighthearted and fun. And you're going like when I think of adventure, I think of like Bilbo stepping out his door. Except The Last of Us Part 2 is like if Bilbo stepped out of his door and then got violated with a barbed wire baseball bat. That's what The Last of Us Part 2 is in terms of action adventure games. Awesome. So that's Sam.
Awesome. Or in the Will of the Wisp, and it's not close. Thank you. Moving on.
Woo! Strong words.
Didn't come
the
here
top
to play.
rope.
Yeah.
Jared.
Repeating what Sam said, or in the Will of the Wisp, buddy.
Oh man. Damn.
Dan.
I'm gonna have to go with Ghost, man. But shout out to the Game Awards for throwing old Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order on there because they missed the cutoff date by like 3 hours or whatever it was last year.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's on there.
Yeah, but also I think, Dan, this kind of highlights a problem with doing the award show before the year has actually ended. Because think, it means we're going to have Cyberpunk in the midst with Horizon Forbidden West and Halo Infinite next year. And that's going to be fun.
Haynes brought this up earlier today on their show, and he sees like, the original cutoff date was like the 9th or the 20th or something like that. I think, and the original release date for Cyberpunk was the 19th, or for some reason it wouldn't have been included on this year's list, even if it had made its original date, something to that effect, which is super weird to me. Yeah, they should just wait till the 1st of January or the 31st of December and just be like, okay, that's an actual year. But,
I actually think it'd be kind of dope. And I know like New Year's Eve bashes on TV take up a lot of the viewership and everything else. But doing the Game Awards on New Year's Eve would kind of be dope. That would be a great way for me to spend my New Year's. But I'm a social shut-in who doesn't do anything. So I know people like going out and being with friends and things.
Not this year.
Well, yeah. Yeah, true. Eric, what about you? Best action adventure game?
Yeah, I'm looking at this category and like you could literally just like erase the words and say Game of the Year nomination.
Yeah, honestly, Eric, fair, completely fair. Like,
this is a strong this is a thinker of a category because there's some solid titles in here. So for me, it's tough because it would definitely be between Ghost and Ori. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's tough. But I'd probably go with Ori, man. Yeah, that's tough because, and also like you said, like, you know, The Last of Us being in there, it's definitely an adventure or action, but I don't know, action adventure.
Like I don't know. Like when I think action adventure, I think like Nathan Drake making zany lines as he zip lines places. I don't think Ellie punching someone's skull into the dirt is like actiony.
It's an ill-defined category, but what was it that judge who said like, I'll know pornography if I see it, I know action adventure if I see it. Last of Us isn't it? So there you go.
So it's really confusing. So we just did the best action adventure category. This is the best action category because that's fucking different.
Yeah, I don't know. In there.
And this is so that they could squeeze in Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Neo 2, and Streets of Rage 4. I just want to like kick this off to see that it's great to see Streets of Rage 4 get a nod at the Game Awards. That's a really cool thing because like that was a passion project from them. So really cool to see that. But Doom Eternal slaps the ever-loving crap out of anything on this list, and it's not even close. Sam.
Rage and Fury, Doom Eternal, rip and tear until it's done.
Yeah, buddy. Jared.
Rip and tear, buddy.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal.
Yeah, same thing. Whatever you guys did.
Eric.
Let me be contrary here.
No. All right, put him off the podcast. Come on.
We'll go across the board. When you talk about action, you can't. I mean, come on, Doom Eternal. That's like nonstop action, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, shit. But I mean, Hades is a good. It's definitely it deserves to be in there. But yeah, when I think action and best action, you don't sit still at all in Doom Eternal. So.
You don't have time, and like I'm not sure if any of you guys know, but I put in like 30 hours of actually playing Hades or playing that game. It's a great game, and I love it. But yeah, Doom Eternal is just on another level for action.
Yeah, absolutely. So next is a category that I actually really, really love: innovation and accessibility. This is a really cool category, and it's got some interesting ones in here. So innovation for accessibility, we've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we've got Grounded, we've got Hyperdot, we've got The Last of Us Part 2, and we've got Watch Dogs Legion. So I'm going to go with Last of Us Part 2 because it had one of the most comprehensive accessibility menus that I've ever seen in a video game, and I applaud Naughty Dog for that. But I also at the same time want to give credit to Obsidian with realizing that I am the biggest pussy in the world when it comes to spiders and creating a specific accessibility feature because I'm scared of spiders, and they thought of that because so many games would have been like, it's a spider, get over it. Go play Bloodborne, you baby. But the people at Obsidian were like, hey, you might be arachnophobic, and this can be really scary for you, but we still want you to be able to enjoy our game. So let's slap some googly eyes on it, and you're fine. And I love it. I think it's a really cool accessibility mode. And yeah, Sam.
This one is actually tough because on the one hand, Grounded did an incredible thing adding an arachnophobia mode. Arachnophobia, like, is very common. It's a very common fear, and it can be debilitating to people. Like it can actually lock them down. It's not a joke. It's not to be played around with. So I appreciate that. At the same time, The Last of Us Part 2 has one of the most in-depth like accessibility options. Like it's one of like 2 games that has gotten a perfect score from Can I Play This, the website that focuses on accessibility in games and how accessible they are to people. So this one is extremely tough. And I'll say I think either of these games could get it and they would deserve it. I'll go with Grounded for the sheer novelty of an arachnophobia mode because I've never seen that before. But I want to be clear, I would be okay with either of these games getting it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared?
I'm going to go with The Last of Us Part 2 just because they have accessibility modes to the point where blind people can actually play the game. Like, I understand arachnophobia mode is big and grounded, and you guys know me. I love grounded. That is my game. That is my thing. But Last of Us Part 2, it's just it brought accessibility to a whole new level, to the point where people who can't normally play games can play this really highly anticipated game. And I think that is an incredible thing to do, because that is really trying to make sure that you are being inclusive to everybody as much as possible. Because let's be honest, being able to implement any type of accessibility feature to where a blind person can basically play a game like that and is a big deal. So that gets my vote.
Absolutely. Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I should use accessibility option. I don't, but The Last of Us Part 2 had a couple of them in there that I actually used for myself. I'm not sure. It's hard for me to remember back that far, but I'm going to give it to that because I actually used them in the game. There was a couple of them. I think it might have been like with a higher contrast or something that popped up, or that made it a little bit easier for me to play. So, for sure.
Absolutely, Eric.
Yeah, like you guys make some definitely good arguments, like you said, with the arachnophobia mode. But yeah, I would give it to The Last of Us 2 here, because the accessibility modes I've heard, like in so many cases, how deep and accessible they are to people. So yeah, that would be my pick, in this instance, and also because the accessibility modes pissed off a lot of fanboys, and I'm always down for fanboys being pissed off. I'm like, I don't have no idea why this would piss you off, but okay.
How dare more people be able to play the same game I like in a way that's easier for them? How dare they?
They're making it too easy. It's like, you don't have their accessibility options.
Options is a hard word, okay?
Yeah.
So there's the best VR and AR nominees. I think Dan's the only person with an actual VR headset.
Maybe.
And so I'll go through this list. We've got Dreams, Half-Life Alyx, Marvel's Iron Man VR, Star Wars Squadrons, and The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, which is every good VR game that released this year, and everything else was sim games. So, Dan, did you play any of those? Or
yeah, I played Iron Man and Squadrons, and I would give it to Squadrons in a second, if nothing else for the fact that I'm a Star Wars geek, and this has been like the game that I've been waiting for so long, since X-Wing Alliance, since X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. It's amazing. I can't play it outside of VR now, so that's the only way I'll play it. They did an amazing job with it. It feels like, as much as I can think what it would feel like to, pilot an X-Wing with the control stick and all that stuff. It's like the totally immersive experience. Super fun.
Absolutely. I have to think that if Half-Life Alyx doesn't win this category, that game was a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to win.
Because I sat there, I was like, look at the category. I'm like, anything other than Half-Life wins. Half-Life doesn't mean what it used to mean. Because I remembered everyone was like, this is VR's moment. This is the moment no one will forget. And then everybody forgot about it. People were like, oh, I could catch the ammo cartridge in there and I could do all this cool stuff. I'm like, cool. Anything else? Yeah. Boom. Yeah. So best community support, which is a category that seems to always have the same candidates in here, but here we are. We've got Apex Legends from Respawn. We've got Destiny 2 with Bungie. We've got Fall Guys from Mediatonic/Devolver Digital. We've got Fortnite with Epic Games. We've got No Man's Sky from Hello Games, and Valorant from Riot, because why the hell not? So for me, I'm going to give it to No Man's Sky, for the simple reason is this game could have been pumped, dumped, and chumped and never even looked at again. Like Hello Games could have just left that thing in the dirt. But not only did they go back and fix it, they continue to bring new like content to it. They brought VR. They did next gen upgrades to it. They did fan feedback. They did all this stuff on a game that everyone literally like. It was probably one of the most hated games of this generation at one point, and have turned into a beloved game that even my casual friends, I have a friend at work, all he plays is Call of Duty and No Man's Sky. And it's the weirdest thing that it's somehow become this game that's become part of people's like knowledge of, hey, this is a really good game. And some people don't even remember that it was a bad game at one point. I think that's really speaks credence to what they've done with it. Sam, what about you?
I'll exude my option to say a game that isn't listed here, Sea of Thieves. It's time Sea of Thieves deserves the nod with how much support Rare has put into that game and just how much they've done and how this was their biggest year yet, and they're saying next year will be even bigger based on the stuff they're going to be adding. So it should have been Sea of Thieves.
Okay. Jared.
That's a tough one. I'll go with No Man's Sky. That'll be my pick.
Dan.
I'm gonna go with Sam and say Sea of Thieves, man. I think they've done an amazing job just keeping the content coming. Everybody seems to be happy with it. It hit, I think it was this year where it hit just the record levels of engagement on Steam and the concurrent players. It's an awesome game. I still like jumping in every once in a while and just get my pirate on, dude. You got to do it every once. You got to keep fresh, otherwise you lose it and then everything goes to hell. You don't want to do that. So yeah, they've done a great job.
Fantastic work, Eric.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not even a Sea of Thieves guy, but I'm 100% okay with moving Destiny 2 out and moving Sea of Thieves into a slot, because who stays more pissed at Bungie than its community?
Yep.
Every time there's a new expansion, oh my God, this is going to be fire. This is going to be lit. Oh, it's about to be on. And then 2 months later, fuck them. Every single time. I'm not slandering Destiny. I know we have plenty of friends who love it. But again, that community, that's their community. They love it. It's love-hate. So yeah, I would definitely do that. But my pick is going to be No Man's Sky for all the reasons Nick said. Man, I mean, it's just nonstop. It's a Cinderella story, you know what I'm saying? And it's an amazing thing to see, because it was a game that's revered now, but not for the reasons that it was revered for at one point.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you gave me the most clippable thing for this podcast. That's the Destiny bit. That's just perfect. That clip will be going out tomorrow morning. I definitely think when you're talking best community, like you could make an argument for Destiny for best ongoing game for sure, because of how much content they pump out. But in terms of, whenever Destiny says something, there's 90 posts about why it's bad. And then there's like 2 guys going, hey, I actually like this because this update caters to me. And then it just rotates to who it caters for. And it just pisses everybody off in a cycle.
It's the same thing every time. It's an update. It comes out. It looks great. It ignores new players. It caters to their fan base. And like Slomo just said, only Destiny fans think Destiny is good. And that's the thing that annoys me with Destiny. Like Sam and Jared said, we put how much time in, what was it? The festival, just to get that one gun, right?
That Halloween festival. And we had fun.
We had fun doing it. And then a month later, the gun that we worked so hard to get was a beast for about 2 weeks. And then no more.
It was done. It was gone.
It was done. And that's the thing that drives me crazy. I love so much about Destiny is aesthetic, its look, the way it plays. Sure. I mean, the gunplay is phenomenal. I just hate that it's not welcoming to people who, God forbid, want to go away and play another game for a minute.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's very user unfriendly, because I load up the game and I remember tweeting out going, hey, Destiny fans, where should I start if I wanted to play Destiny? And someone linked me a 79 video playlist on the basics of Destiny. And I'm like,
nope.
Fuck this. Uninstalled it, installed a different game. I was like, no. No.
Yeah, I don't want to stay on it, but yeah, we'll move on because I know it's getting late. But yeah, it's just
all right. We'll run and man right through the next couple of categories because I think they're pretty straightforward. Best indie game. We've got Carrion. We got Fall Guys. We got Hades. We got Splunky 2. We've got Spiritfarer.
Hades.
I haven't played it, but honestly, see, this is tough because I've played Carrion, I've played Fall Guys, but the way people talk about Hades, there must be something to it. So I guess I would go with that. I don't know someone who hasn't sung its praises from the high heavens, honestly.
I think we had a conversation pre-podcast about this. Everyone's just horny, and Hades caters to that. So
I know. I don't understand that. I really don't. Like, I played the game a bunch, and I was like, "Why, y'all thirsty? Stop it! Stop it!"
Dan, where are you at for?
I'm going with Hades too. Just to throw it out there, I played a little bit of it, and it's good. It's not easy, but it's good.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's good.
Yeah.
For me, best indie. Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on the ones listed there. It is what it is. Hades is going to win because everyone's revving on Hades. So, best ongoing game. We've got Apex Legends.
I didn't say mine, Rick. I'll say Hades too. Yeah.
Right over Eric.
I love Carrion to death, man. Carrion's fantastic. But yeah, I have to get back to Hades. But between Hades and Blood of Zeus, man, those two right now, that's just, you can watch Blood of Zeus and then play Hades, and it's just bliss.
Yeah, those really came out together at a really good time. Like, it felt inherently planned. It was like, hey.
Right.
Blood of Zeus is good. I think
it's so good.
It's really good.
Front to back. Nicholas Weeb approved. So for best ongoing game, we've got Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and they didn't put Rainbow Six Siege on here because it would win every damned year if it was on that list. Suck it, Game Awards. I'm going to put in for Call of Duty Warzone because actually, no. I'll go No Man's Sky. I don't want any of the other ones to win. If I have to hear about if Destiny 2 gets robbed of every award it's nominated for, I can die happy.
Jeez. Call of Duty Warzone, I'd say. It's I've spent a lot of time with it. What can I say? It's been a blast.
Absolutely. Jared.
That's a tough one. Let's go Call of Duty. Why not? Let's toss it in there.
Dan.
I'm just going to go with No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Everything that you said before.
Yeah.
Boom.
This is another one of those categories that feels like obscenely crossover-ish. Yeah. And it's weird because the games really cross over too. And it's like, okay. So if you get the best community support and the best ongoing, it's like the same thing. Eric, what about you?
I'm going No Man's Sky. Started from the bottom. Now we're here. Yep.
God damn it. As a Canadian, I hate Drake.
You mean the pretend owner of the Raptors?
Oh my God. No, we don't have the time for this. Okay, so games for impact, which is always these are games that make you feel things. So Nicholas tried not to play any of them, but I still somehow played some of them. So If Found by Dreamfeel, Kentucky Route Zero TV edition from Cardboard Computer, Spiritfarer from Thunder Lotus Games, and Tell Me Why from Don't Nod Entertainment, and Through the Darkest of Times. I've only played Tell Me Why, but I'm putting Tell Me Why as the pick because that is one of the most thought-provoking games I've played in a long-ass time and actually made me change my mind on how I viewed some things in my own social sphere and how I approach certain things in my actual life. It actually made me think on that kind of level, and there's been very few games that made me think like that outside of games like What Remains of Edith Finch. So that game, play it. Sam.
Tell Me Why. Tell Me Why is real good. Do not sleep on it.
Absolutely. Jared.
I'll toss my vote in for Tell Me Why as well.
Same thing. Yeah. Like literally, this is one like these. I played some of the Kentucky Route Zero game. It's kind of cool. I just never finished it. I never really played the rest of them, but I like your passion, so I'm going with you.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Eric.
Survey says, Tell Me Why. I have not finished it yet, but been digging what I've been playing of it so far. So yeah, and that's the only one I played in this whole list. So
fair enough.
Perfect.
All right. So now we are into the nitty gritty categories, which are some of the best ones. We're down to the last 7. These are the ones where people will get a little heated and a little argumentative, and I love it. So we've got for best performance, we've got Ashley Johnson as Ellie. We've got Laura Bailey as Abby. We've got, oh, God damn it. This is going to be terrible.
Dice K.
Dice K.
Yep.
Dice K. Suji.
Yeah.
Dice Suji as Jin Saki. God damn it. I'm going to just kill me. I'm so terrible. I'm sorry. In Ghost of Tsushima. We've got Logan Cunningham as Hades in Hades. And we've got Najee Jader as Miles Morales. I'm going to have to go, and, everyone's horny for Hades. I'm going to have to go for Laura Bailey as Abby because, my God, that woman just hit me with a baseball bat, choke me with a 2x4. I'm all for it. That character was she did such an amazing job of portraying a character that she knew everybody was going to hate. And I loved every second of it. I also think on the flip side of that as well, Ashley Johnson did a phenomenal job as Ellie as well. And I really think it comes down to those two, but really shout out as well to, there's no bad performance. I'm going to move on. Sam.
Yeah, there's no bad option on this list. They all deserve to be there, but Ashley Johnson is Ellie for me personally. Some tear-jerking lines in there and some downright bone-chilling ones too.
Yeah. Jared.
The guy who played Jin Sky, whatever his name is.
Dice, repeat after me. Dice K. Suji.
Dice K. Suji.
There you go.
Dice K. Suji. See,
all right.
It's not that bad. It's not that
Damn.
bad. But yeah.
Man, it's like you said, it's going to come down to one of the either Laura Bailey or Ashley Johnson. I'm going to give it to Laura Bailey because she made me hate her so much.
Fair.
I think that I think that's because I hated Abby. And I think once you kind of take, you finish it, you take a step back and you look at it and you're like, man, she really, really made me hate her. But also, at the same time, have that, feel a little bit sorry for her at the same time. So, I mean, amazing job. But either one of those first two would win it. It could win it, I think.
Yeah. Eric.
Yep. I'll say again. I mean, I haven't seen Najee's full performance as Miles, but I'm pretty sure he nails it.
Oh yeah.
So I can't wait to again in PS5 land. I'm not going to do it on PS4. See how that goes. But every performance here is solid, so I'll say that. But damn, man, between Ashley and Laura, man, they just played off each other so damn well. But I'd probably throw it to Laura because I remember her saying how tough a character this was to play. And how deeply emotional it was. So I'll probably throw it to Laura, even though Laura's on everything. But for a character, she said it took her out of her comfort zone.
Yeah, actually, I really liked her as a villain. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see Laura do more villain work. I think that's something I really want more studios to employ. We're getting more female protagonists, but I want to see more female villains. I think the woman from Uncharted 4 was brilliant because I loved watching Nate and his brother just absolutely get their asses kicked by a woman. It was the most fulfilling thing because you sit there and go, yeah, these are two jerk-offs that just fight for fun. Yeah. Versus a military-trained woman. She's going to kick their ass 10 out of 10 times. I loved it.
That was a good one, too, for how it pissed people off that this woman was kicking their ass. I'm like, she's military-trained.
Yep.
Fighting two guys who get into bar fights.
Yeah, it's more a testament to them that they survived, but that's another
right.
That's another thing altogether.
So, best in-game audio and sound design: Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, or Last of Us Part 2. I saw someone say that if you pick anything other than Last of Us Part 2, you're deaf. Fuck you, id Software, Doom Eternal. I can literally hear bones crunching, and the soundtrack is literally my porn playlist. Fight me. Doom Eternal, hands down for audio design and sound design. Sam.
I'll go odd man out. I think it was Resident Evil 3. I love the audio design in that game. I think we're not talking score. We're not talking music. We're talking audio design. And for that, I think Resident Evil 3, it'll have you paranoid when you're down in those sewers, man, or when Nemesis is breathing down your neck going, stores. Yeah, it gets your heart pounding. So I'll go with Resident Evil 3.
I mean, there are wrong opinions. Jared.
All right, so this is where I'm going to be siding with Nick on this one, Doom Eternal, just because, hey, soundtrack's fine. You can hear the gore, skeletons, and the crunching and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's actually the audio cues themselves for when your abilities refresh, you're reloading. You can literally play the game without a HUD, which is what I'm currently doing right now, is playing the whole game with zero HUD on. And it is absolutely fantastic. Having a game allowing me to do that in a game like Doom, yes, please. Perfect. That's my pick.
Dan.
Man, my ears suck. So I own 15 different headsets. And so you would think I'd have some kind of, insider information. I would say Doom is like just from just a raw standpoint, and what they did with it was really, really fun to listen to. I would probably go with The Last of Us Part 2 on this one, but either one of those is excellent.
Good pick. Yeah.
Eric.
Yeah, again, another strong category. Any one of these is deserving in my opinion. Well, I don't know about Half-Life Alyx. I have not played that. But I would go with The Last of Us Part 2. It would be between that for me and Doom Eternal. But damn, Sam made a great case as well. But I picked The Last of Us Part 2 because I was playing through it again when I was going for the platinum. There were just other things I was kind of picking up on just in some of the sound and the audio and like the way the guns fired and the way they sounded, it just sounded like so realistic in like so many ways. And some of the, that would be my pick.
All right. Now we're right along to best music score. And this category is actually really interesting and really tight because there's tons in here. Doom Eternal by Mick Gordon. We got Final Fantasy VII Remake. We've got Hades. We've got Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and we got Last of Us Part 2. I love Doom Eternal soundtrack. I really do. I love it, but at the same time, Ori and the Will of the Wisps is really, really good. And then also at the same time, the Last of Us Part 2 soundtrack, some of those music and audio ones, just they hit you right in the chest. So I'm actually going to cop out and say all of them. Sam.
Well, number one, I'd like to say, wow, you coward. You coward. Look at this man dissolve with no spine. Okay, it falls on me to have a strong opinion and make people angry. Okay. Well, the music in The Last of Us Part 2 is great. It's great. Gustavo Santaolalla, incredible string work. It's not as iconic as the first game. Sorry. I objectively believe the music in the first game is better. So there's that. Doom Eternal, incredible, phenomenal work. Like just heart-pounding, adrenaline rushing. Any normal year, it would probably win. But Ori and the Will of the Wisp, man, Gareth Coker brings you to bawling just through music. That is a game that has you sobbing and fully invest in the characters and tells a story without any dialogue. And so much of that comes down to the music. So much of that comes down to how the orchestra and the choir just grind the emotion out of you, and they squeeze you until there's nothing left. So yeah, it's going to be Ori and the Will of the Wisp for me.
Yep, same here. Ori and Will of the Wisps, and I'm just gonna also throw this out there. Hades doesn't even deserve it to be in there. Sorry, but the music, not even remotely close to being even on par to like any of these other games. It's okay. It's suitable for the type of game that it is.
It's forgettable, is what it is.
It's absolutely. I don't remember a single freaking little beat, a rhythm, a rhyme, whatever the hell kind of music has come from Hades. Not a single. And I have a massive music background. No, nothing. Sorry, but Hades, that game has been put in too many damn categories that does not deserve to be in.
I don't know. I just from all the screenshots and everything that I've heard about Hades, I feel like all the soundtrack is some dude on a guitar with a wah pedal going. Bow.
There's nothing to it, honestly. Like, Hades is good. There's multiple aspects. Like I'm not gonna get into much into Hades, but it doesn't deserve all the hype it has right now and all the praise. It's good, but it's not that good. It doesn't even deserve to be part of the game here contending at all.
I think Transistor and Bastion have better soundtracks from Darren Korb than Hades does.
Yeah.
Get him.
Yeah. Darren Korb is really good. I mean, really good at what he does.
Dan, any preference?
I think Ori will win. I think I enjoyed Final Fantasy VII the most, mostly because it kind of, it was really throwback for me. Like, the whole game was, you can talk about whatever, however, but the music, it seems so familiar but different. When you meet Aerith for the first time, it's they did a really, really good job with it. So I'm gonna buck the trend here. Love Ori, Final Fantasy VII.
Fair.
Fair enough. Eric.
Oh yeah, there's no question in this category for me is Ori. Definitely Ori. Definitely strong follow-up for me. Of course, with Doom Eternal is fantastic, but also again, some of the music in The Last of Us Part 2 was great. It definitely they played with those tones and stuff like that. So, but Ori, hands down, man. I mean, yeah, like for the reason Sam said. I mean, you could just close your eyes and just listen and be taken away.
It's wonderful. It really is.
Absolutely. Now we've got best art direction, which it's Ori and Will of the Wisps. I'm sorry. So we got Final Fantasy VII
things in that category.
Yeah. We got, so for category's sake, we got Final Fantasy VII Remake, we got Ghost of Tsushima, which, okay, Hades, Ori Will of the Wisps, and The Last of Us Part 2. I didn't realize 1990s grunge was an art direction, but okay.
I mean, it is an art direction. It's a choice, but it is an art direction objectively. But I mean, this category isn't even fair with Ori in there. Ori cleans the clock out of everything else.
And actually, it better in practically reality. Like, please, Ori is just top tier.
So, are we all just agreeing on Ori?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ori too.
I'm going to go with Ori too, but I'm definitely not going to slander some of the other ones that are in there. I mean,
I will slander the rest of them except for Ghost of Tsushima. All right. Because Ghost of Tsushima would be a second place for me.
Ghost of Tsushima would probably be second for me too.
That's what I'm going to say. Like, I would say Ori hands down. I mean, how can you look at Ori and just be like, from an art direction standpoint, be like, holy crap.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, there's Hades again, Jared. But I mean, Hades has great art direction. It really does. I mean, it has
it's true.
Really great art,
And aesthetically, it's beautiful. I love the setting and stuff like that. But again, I'm just like, compared to all these other games, no. Stop it.
Yeah, it's hard to do art direction when one's literal art, and then
thank you.
It's a hard art. It's a hard argument to get into.
But I will say these three games in the middle, man. You could, if you freeze frame on any particular part of them, you could put those on your wall.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So, best narrative design, which is always a passionate debate. 13 Sentinels for Aegis Rim, which I've heard really good things, but I know nothing. Final Fantasy VII Remake, well, I hope the narrative was good. It was already made. Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, because Hades is in every damn category, and The Last of Us Part 2. I really don't have a dog in this fight because I didn't play Final Fantasy VII Remake, didn't play Hades. I'm gonna go for argument's sake. I will say The Last of Us Part 2 for narrative. I will put Doom Eternal's DLC
Of course we will. Of course we will.
Because Sam can attest the last 5 minutes, the last cutscene of the Ancient Gods DLC is one humdinger of a lore hit that I was not ready for.
It is. You're not wrong. Of this list, I'll say The Last of Us Part 2, but I think Kentucky Route Zero should have been in here. That game has a very weird, interesting American Gothic tone that a lot of stories really never touch on. It's very unique. It vibes with Midwest America and Southern America in a way most games never do. So I think that game should have been in here. Of the choices available, I'll say Last of Us Part 2.
Jared.
That's tough.
I know it's not Hades.
Yeah, it's definitely not Hades. Let's still tell you that one. You know what? I think I'm going to go with Ghost with this one over The Last of Us, because I got issues with Last of Us Part 2 story wise, very much so. So yeah, Ghost.
And you can go check out our spoiler cast where we all voice our issues very openly about The Last of Us Part 2 and the things we loved about it. Shameless plug. Damn.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ghost of Tsushima on this one too. I mean, I love The Last of Us Part 2, and I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though it's technically different. It's still Final Fantasy VII. It's not even a whole narrative yet. So I mean, come on now.
Yeah,
it's garbage. True. You know what? I'm glad it's not here. Valhalla, because it would have been trash.
I've got to ask at this point, like, Hades is the control of this year, right? Where you're like, why is it here?
Yeah. Hey, I love Control. In fact, did anybody else pick up the $20 Game of the Year version or whatever?
No. I'm staying strong.
I pulled it like a freaking lawn chair. And I was like, $20? Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any review on that edition. Like, what's going on with it?
Because the next gen version got delayed to next year.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. True. Okay.
Yeah, so buy the Ultimate Edition for the eventual update for the game that you already own.
I own it on Xbox, on PlayStation, and now on Xbox again. So
it's so good. It's worth it.
I love Control, man. I love Control.
Sorry, I completely derailed that. Eric, your pick.
Yeah, I've heard so many good things about 13 Sentinels. Like, I'm definitely gonna check that out at some point. But yeah, I've heard it from a story standpoint. That thing like kills it owns from what I heard. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. But damn, for me to be between Ghost and The Last of Us Part 2 here, it's tough because I love both of the stories in that. But I think for the one that just took you on a roller coaster, whether you loved it or hated it, I think Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely took the most risks out of the two. I would say that.
Yeah.
Whether the payoff was worth it is up to the player. But so best game direction. We've got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Part 1. Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, and The Last of Us Part 2. I'm a go, and this is for creative vision and innovation. And see, the thing is here, and this is the thing that I'm going to hunker down on, is award for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. So I'm actually going to give it to Half-Life Alyx, because out of all these games, I feel like it's the only one in terms of innovation of pushing something forward. Because Ghost of Tsushima was an amazing game, but at its heart, it was a better Assassin's Creed game than Ubisoft ever made.
Yes.
And Final Fantasy VII Remake, while being a beautiful reimagining of what Final Fantasy was, it's been done before. I think that Half-Life Alyx, in terms of what it did, is the keyword of innovation. So, fight me. Sam.
I can't fight you. I can't at all. If I played it, I would probably select it. But the thing is, like, of the games I've played here, having played most of the others, I guess I'll default to The Last of Us Part 2. But I totally get your line of reasoning. And if I played it, I would probably feel the same way.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to play 3 hours of it, so I'm kind of biased a little bit on it.
That's totally fair.
Jared.
Ghost.
Yeah, baby. Shout out to Ori though, too, man.
That's all I'm gonna give you. Is just Ghost.
Yeah, this is another of those Ori should have been up here, Cat.
Yes.
Okay, so hold on. So Ghosts. I didn't realize Jared had such strong feelings about that Call of Duty game from 2013. Interesting.
To be remade in 2 years, probably.
Hey, I put a lot of multiplayer time into Ghost, okay? A little bit of PTSD too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I think we all
That's
did.
fair. Eric, I don't think you got a chance to.
Eric.
Yeah, Nick, made a very strong argument. And the only reason, I could definitely see picking Half-Life Alyx. The only reason I won is because I didn't touch it. I haven't played it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But for every reason Nick gave, 100%. It looked like it's pushing all those. If you're talking innovation and vision, it's definitely pushing all those. But I'm kind of in the same boat with Sam. Like I might, in this case, just default to Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this.
It's tough with these categories because it's starting to kind of all be the same thing in the same category.
Well, and see, here's my argument for this year. Is I felt like last year was a really diverse bunch. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, why is this game here?" But I felt like mine more diverse. I feel like I'm just saying The Last of Us, Hades, Ghost of Tsushima, and cycling in 2 other games. It's like, and it makes sense in a lot of categories, but there are other games that came out this year that could fit in these categories, but they don't. And that's just how this works because it's voted on. It's not a bunch of people sit down and go, this is what defines this. It's okay. Everyone cast your votes and it's a roll of the dice. So some years we get really good variety. Some years it feels very much the same. Cause like we did best game direction. Game of the year is basically the best game direction category all over again.
Yeah.
So for the game of the year, we've got Doom Eternal. We've got Final Fantasy VII Remake. We've got Ghost of Tsushima. We've got Hades again. We've got Animal Crossing. And we've got Last of Us Part 2. I'm going to say this right now. What I want to win is Doom Eternal. It's my favorite game I've played this year, and it's one of the best games I've played. If it doesn't win, I'm calling fraud. The votes were fraudulated. They weren't counted properly, and they falsified election. And unless anyone, I will prove fraud. I have
you have to let the process play out, and the process is suing every other day.
Not to mention, the votes will be counted by the sloth from the DMV in Zootopia.
Yes.
So,
and we'll be waiting 3 months for Nevada to put in its votes. But at the end of the day, Doom Eternal is my personal game of the year. You guys are Like a Dragon's getting pretty high up there, but right now as it sits, it's Doom Eternal. Realistically, I know Doom Eternal is not going to win. I get that. I'm pretty smart. This is going to be a battle between The Last of Us Part 2 and Animal Crossing. And I really don't care which game takes it because they're both fantastic games. There's no game in this category that doesn't deserve to win. They're all fantastic games. Contrary to my popular belief, Final Fantasy VII Remake is a really amazing game. Tons of fans really loved it, and they did a fantastic job with it. I just like crapping on it because people get super emotional about Final Fantasy games, and it's hilarious to me. But the thing is all these games could win it, but I want Animal Crossing to win because I want the tiers of a kiddie game winning Game of the Year. I want the glass, and I want to collect every tier. But at the same time, if The Last of Us Part 2 wins it, I don't have a problem with it. I'm happy. Sam.
it should be Ori. That's even though, okay, I'll say this. Demon's Souls Remake has skyrocketed up to my number 2 of the year. I'll say that. I love that game. It wasn't even in the running for anything here, but I just want to make a note of that. That is right now my number 2 of the year. We'll see what happens when Cyberpunk hits. So far, though, pre-Cyberpunk, my game of the year is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So I'm putting in a protest vote and saying that. Of the games listed here, I voted for Doom Eternal. It won't win, but it should have been Ori. I rest my case.
Jared.
All right. So, yeah, Ori and the Will of the Wisps should definitely be on that list because that would easily take my vote, and because that's literally the biggest game that has left the biggest emotional impact on me this whole year. But, yeah, that's not on there. And Hades shouldn't be in there as well, just saying. Yeah. But I'm going to pick Doom Eternal.
Man. This goes to Tsushima for me, for sure. I mean, that's up until this point.
That's a close.
That game has been the biggest surprise, I think, because nobody was expecting, Sucker Punch to come out and like destroy it. It got delayed. Everybody was talking about The Last of Us Part 2, and then out of nowhere, a few weeks after Last of Us came out, this game comes out, and everybody's like, "What in the hell, man? What is this game?" And it just knocked me off my feet. I love it. The only, if we were doing an actual annual cycle, Cyberpunk's got a chance to knock it off. But since it's not technically nominated, then it gets eliminated immediately. So I'm going to go with Ghost of Tsushima. I love Dory, and I love Final Fantasy. Actually, all these games, aside from Hades, which is okay. So it's it's one of those, maybe.
Yeah. I really feel like they're really ham-fisting Hades. Like they're really like, you want to love this game
because it's a very recent popular niche title game that everybody likes, dungeon roguelites, but yet not everybody likes them, and a lot of press people liked them, but it still wasn't this massively overly popular game, kind of like Fall Guys or Among Us or Ghost of Tsushima levels or whatnot. Like,
right, it didn't have the it's didn't have the hell was it from what was the game last year that RPG game, right? That won all those, or was nominated for all those awards. They won one or two of them, I think.
Oh, you gotta be a little more specific.
It's the PC one. It's the Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium.
Right, that's what this one feels like to me.
Okay, but the difference between the two is that Disco Elysium is actually good.
I did enjoy that game. That's true, Jared. I am with you on that one. What I played from that game, it was actually really, really good, and I picked it up because it won those awards, and I was like, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
good game. This one, yeah.
Oh, that one came out so far out left field, it just smacked me right in the face. Holy hell. Eric, what about you, my friend?
For me, it's going to be Ghost of Tsushima for some of the reasons Dan said. You guys know I love like The Last of Us Part 2. For the emotional roller coaster. But like Dan said, man, Ghost, for the fact that they were back to back, and we kind of had this feeling like Sony must not have a lot of faith in this game because they're putting it behind like The Last of Us Part 2, right, like back to back or whatever case may be. And then it came out and just kind of like Dan said, surprised everyone. And it was like really good. Not perfect. There's definitely some things I can see them working on for like the sequel, but they were definitely on to something. And then lo and behold, a couple months later, they announced a multiplayer that everybody's been really high on, and that you never expected this developer to pull off, and they did. And and they might be onto something there too if they come back with more content that matches it. So I definitely think it's a strong contender, for taking it. I think Animal Crossing will probably be the one because everybody and their mom and their pastor owned it.
Yeah,
like in the pandemic. So, but yeah, mine will be Ghost.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to throw an honorable mention in there because Hades doesn't deserve to be there. I don't care how horny you are for this game and all its shirtless Greek gods and everything else. Watch Dogs Legion is bloody fantastic, and you should go play it. It's a better GTA than GTA 5.
Wow.
Damn.
So go enjoy that after they patch out the save issues that they're going through right now, because for some reason they released a patch that screwed up save files. So I'm not touching it right now because they're having issues.
It's something to do with Ubisoft Connect, and it's bad. It's bad.
Ubisoft Connect was a mistake. But as it stands, that's the Game Awards picks. But don't forget, we will be doing our own Game Awards show with our old weird and zany categories and nominations from these guys and explain why they nominated it and everything else. That will be in December. That will be our last show before Christmas. So that would be, I don't have a calendar pulled up, but that'll be roughly a month from now, essentially. That would be, does Christmas literally fall? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so
it's
Christmas.
Soon.
Oh, Christmas is on a Friday. So we probably won't do a show on Boxing Day because
I might be shopping for actual next-gen consoles around that time to see if I might have a chance, but we'll see.
I'm gonna have to do the ski mask and Air Force Ones to get my PS5. But regardless, we'll be doing our own award show probably just before that, so we might have bump some days around. But we're gonna have some stuff. We're gonna have some fan nominated stuff, so you guys can vote on some stuff. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be great. And I will absolutely dump on every game you love because it's what I do. And don't worry, Final Fantasy VII Remake will get a nomination for the most overrated game of 2020. This is how I don't have recurring viewers. I get viewers in here and I just piss them off and they don't come back. It's like trolling Dan about his $40 in Anthem currency, yet he keeps coming on the show.
Still sitting there.
I can't believe that didn't get best ongoing game or community support. Like, I'm so surprised. Like, they've talked about supporting it so much with Anthem 2.0. Talked so much. But anyways,
tons and tons of screenshots, though. Not even screenshots. They're just artist renditions of what's coming. Man. But it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Right. I'm ready.
You're ready with your $40?
Yeah, my $40 is like, man, you got to buy something fresh. Nope. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Okay, so we will do outros now. We will do our guest first. Dan, where can people find you?
I am at seasongaming.com. We got reviews. We got other stuff, articles. You know, we got a bidcast every Saturday at noon Central Time to 1 p.m. Eastern. If you can find me on Twitter, kudos. I'm not telling you what I'm at. So good luck. Other than that, thanks for having me on, guys. It's been awesome. Love it every single time. Anytime you guys need it, hit me up. I'm doing nothing Saturday nights. So
absolutely. We will definitely have you on because you're always good for the giggles.
yeah.
Shout out to Slow-Mo in the chat. It's fine, bro. I can't get mad at people who have opinions about games that haven't played. Laugh out loud. I agree. Enrique's great at that. Sam, where can people find you?
As yet, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's Tolbert. Come read everything I wrote over on Windows Central, Android Central, and iMore. The year's quieting down, but if you missed it, I reviewed Call of Duty and Demon's Souls in the same 72-hour span of time somehow. So please check that out. And if you're trying to get started in Demon's Souls, which is a phenomenal game, I'm working on some class build guides and some world explainers and not quite walkthroughs, but you know, that sort of stuff to help speed things along because it's a great game and I want people to play it. So
absolutely, and more people need the help they can get, mainly me.
You said it.
And don't worry, you get like 100 page views because I constantly have to refresh because I keep getting stuck at the same part. Jared, where can people find your amazing work, my friend?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at RageVirus_X, and you can find all my fun writing stuff, primarily guides, over at Windows Central, Android Central, and iMore.
Absolutely. And make sure you check out Sam and Jared's work. They do fantastic work over there. And Eric, where can people find you, my friend?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X. Other than that, you can find me on Brat Podcast Wednesday night with my buddy Slow-Mo, who's in the chat. So yeah, that's where I'm at, where I'll be.
Absolutely.
Come find me.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely tweeted Eric about all the real taco sauce. 4K.
He loves it.
Give me all your specs.
He loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the hottest thing a woman could do for me on a date is like when we go out to the restaurant and she pulls out a spec sheet for the PS5. Oh, yeah, give me that VRS, baby.
Oh my lord! What's that? What are you pulling that out there?
Hey, baby, what kind of teraflops you working with?
12 teraflops, baby.
It ain't about the teraflops, baby. It's about the software.
It's about the 52 CUs, buddy.
I'm going to hell, Express Trip. And before I go to hell, Express Trip, you can find me on Twitter at Undead3XVI, being way less edgy on there than I am on here. You can find all my written work at lordsofgaming.net. I haven't written in a long time. It's been terrible. But hopefully things will change. I'll get better at it and things will move on. But just as a general closing statement, you're not alone. Enjoy your time. find something you enjoy. Holiday times are rough for everybody. So if you need to find ways to cope, whether it's through video games, music, your friends, your family, or if you lack friends and family, don't hesitate to reach out to those around you. And there's various hotlines if you need help in trying and struggling times. And if you are a fan of the show or watch this show, or if you follow me, my DMs are open, and I do always will lend an ear to those that are kind or looking for someone to reach out to. So Twitter at Undead3XVI, Gaming's Perspective official Twitter at Gaming Perspect, because there's a character limit and it's fucking terrible. Love you guys. We'll see you guys next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Exciting guests next week. Can't wait to talk about it. We'll see you guys next Saturday. Bye.